my hat is all twisted. This is a new setup, so it's gonna be a what do you call it? A work in progress. There's still a whole lot of things that to be done. I still haven't put my timer up and got to make sure I put my YouTube accolades and things like that. But um, just like everybody else, I have a day job, so I haven't gotten around to it. You'll start seeing the backdrop slowly form over the course of the next few days. So, oh, excuse me. So let me go ahead and get my last few streams up, and we'll get the program on momentarily. But yeah, you'll slowly but surely see the what do they call it? The you'll see the show forming around me. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, I gotta. It's gonna take me some time to get all of the backdrop up and running. So you'll see over the course of the next few days, you'll start seeing stuff popping up behind me that is not there. Obviously, I need my clock. My timer is not up yet, and the live sign, all that shit. So give me, bear with me because I have a day job just like everybody else does. We're going to be talking about Chicago being the worst city in the world. So give me a moment here. And that's coming from President Trump. Worst city in the world. Wow, that's worst. I mean, that's crazy. We're going to be, listen, there are a lot of people who believe it. So I'll tell you that. There are people who, because I think Trump even, I don't have the clip queued up, but I'll probably end up getting it throughout this live stream. But I believe Trump said that Chicago is worse than Afghanistan. If I'm correct, I think he even said that. So we'll find the clips. We'll find what he said. But it was pretty damning. And being born and raised in Chicago, I can't imagine. Now, I've never been to Afghanistan. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been to Afghanistan, but damn, is Chicago worse than Kabul? Is it worse than Fallujah? I mean, because that's what he said. Worst city in the world was his quote. I mean, is Chicago really that fucking bad? Worst city on the planet. All right, let me go see if I can go ahead and start my last live up, and we'll go ahead and momentarily get this party started. We got three topics, and I guess to some degree, the good news is President Trump is indeed back in full effect. And my last topic is going to be somewhat diabolical, but I got to bring it to you because it is, we talk about Trump, and this is something that came from President Trump, or this is something that's about President Trump. So, starting the program off, obviously, number one being Trump has confirmed that I believe he intends to send troops to Chicago or send the National Guard to Chicago. So I guess he's going to make good on his threats. The governor of Illinois, Pritzker, as you see here on the screen, he did indeed go on television today, and he said, "No, we do not want the National Guard in Chicago." So, for any of you folks that are suggesting that, well, they want the National Guard in that city, that's not true. The powers that be in Chicago went on television today and made it clear they do not want the National Guard sent to the state of Illinois. They don't want the National Guard in Chicago. So, I think the whole goal of that was to make sure that if there's any sort of states' rights, I don't want to say trial, but if for some reason in the future somebody is ever trying to hold Trump accountable for, forcing the military into the state of Illinois, and the pushback is, no, we didn't force it. They actually wanted it. He made sure today with his speech, him being the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, and the mayor of Chicago, they spoke back to back. They made it absolutely certain we do not want this. So in the future, if let's say the Democrats win the midterms and they're trying to impeach Trump or something of that nature, and the Trump administration is trying to suggest that we didn't do anything to Chicago by force, they wanted it, that cannot be used at this point. They gave a clear-cut statement. We do not want the military in Illinois. Now, I get that I get that President Trump believes that the military is needed there anyway. So do what you got to do. But I just want to say, understand that there is no denying at this point that in the future there will be no denying that what was done against the will of the government of Illinois. So that part. Now you can find citizens because there are citizens on YouTube and social media saying, yes, send the guard here. We need to lower crime and things like that. To me, that sounds very similar to citizens of the Ukraine saying, look, we speak Russian, we were part of the Soviet Union, we want to be back with Russia. The citizens don't get a say so at that level. I mean, I'm sure there are Mexicans in Texas that would say they want to be part of Mexico. That means nothing. The citizens at that level do not get that sort of a say. So pointing out that citizens in Chicago want the National Guard there is kind of irrelevant. I mean, there are going to be citizens in every state that want shit that it's not on the table. So if you're watching right wing channels and you're seeing all these Chicago citizens saying they want the National Guard and using it all over social media, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because there are citizens in Chicago that want gun control too. You're not going to give them that, are you? So, I mean, bringing up what the citizen says is kind of irrelevant. But we're going to be talking about the notion that he is sending troops to Chicago and whether it is indeed, as Trump says, the worst and most dangerous city in the world. That is an actual quote from Trump on social media, that Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world. And I do want to hear from you folks. How many of you folks believe that? How many of you folks believe that Chicago is the most dangerous, is the worst and most dangerous city on the planet? On the planet. I mean, that's a strong statement.
Chicago. Its most violent holiday weekend of the summer.
9 people were killed, 52 wounded just since Friday evening. And police say a large portion of the holiday shooting victims were attacked during incidents, a drive-by in Humboldt Park, and mass shootings in Bronzeville and Oakland. Now, this weekend's violence comes as President Trump is continuing to threaten to deploy National Guard troops and federal agents into the city.
They were saying, please, please, please let the president send it. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help.
Now, make no mistake about it, there was a huge protest in Chicago this weekend featuring people that were saying just the opposite. Don't send any National Guard to our area. So, look, we can pick and choose what the citizens say in Chicago, but as I stated before, that's not relevant. The citizens, I mean, there are citizens that want Trump out of government. As a citizen, it's not listen, as a citizen, your job is to vote. Once you vote, you have given the government power to do what they feel is in the best interest of your community. You don't get to jump up at any given time and demand that the government does something. Your only demand is when you vote. You vote them in office, you vote them out of office. So during the period of time that they're in office, you can't just make them do stuff. So I don't bring it up, like I said, what Trump is talking about, bringing up what citizens are saying is irrelevant because there's a whole lot of citizens in Chicago saying just the opposite. Now, we got 3 topics here today, and like I said, Trump is back in the news today, and that's going to tie into my 3rd topic because everybody was saying that something was wrong with him, including me. I did a video like wondering, 6 days away from the media. That's significant for President Trump, but nevertheless, he is back. So, second topic I want to talk to you folks about, you may have heard this today. I think it is very, very relevant, and it could be telling going forward, but it's certainly making not only news here, but world news.
Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin set out their vision for a new global security and economic order in a direct challenge to the United States at a regional summit on Monday. At the 2-day summit in the Chinese port city of Tianjin for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Xi said the more than 20 leaders of non-Western countries must continue to take a clear stand against hegemonism and power politics and practice true multilateralism. Despite no concrete policies being set out, Xi's comments are a veiled attack on the current US-dominated world order. Putin, whose country has forged close ties with China amid the fallout from the Ukraine war, said the SCO had revived genuine multilateralism, with national currencies increasingly used in...
Now, as you can see what's coming forward here. Now, we'll end up talking about it, but you can see what's starting to happen. I mean, now, Putin met with President Trump in Alaska only a few weeks ago. Now, Remember Trump was applauding him walking forward on the red carpet and all of that? Look at the monitor behind me. I turned the volume down, but you see that's Putin. That's Putin and Xi Jinping of China meeting with a nice handshake, very similar to him meeting with President Trump. The only difference is Xi Jinping of China is not applauding as Putin walks up. But I want to ask you folks, now that we got Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un of North Korea was there as well, and then of course the Prime Minister of India, because the Trump administration, in effort to try to sanction and punish Russia, decided to add a 50% tariff onto the nation of India because they're purchasing Russian oil, Russian fuel. So to punish India for dealing with the Russians, Trump imposed a 50% tariff on India. Now keep in mind, Russia, China, India, and North Korea, what do all of those nations have in common? Give you a moment to guess. Somebody in the comments let me know. I'm going to give you a minute. Somebody in the comments let me know. North Korea, China, Russia, and India. What do all of those countries have in common? You should know right off the bat. So we're going to end up talking about that. I don't know if anybody responded, but yep, I see it in the comments. Detroit says nukes. Yes, they all have atomic weapons. So there's only so much Trump can do to a country, you know, an atomic power. All four of those countries have atomic weapons. So if they start forming an alliance, that's going to be one hell of an alliance. And other than sanctioning them, there's not a lot America can do. We're not going to take on 4 nuclear powered nations simultaneously. That's just not going to even be in the wildest dreams of anyone in America. So we already sanctioning the hell out of Kim Jong-un of North Korea. We're already sanctioning the hell out of Vladimir Putin of Russia. And we're beginning to impose strict sanctions on India. And of course, we're talking about doing the same to the nation of China. So these 4 nations, all nuclear power, they don't have a lot to lose at this point. The United States is already beginning to isolate all of them. And at least 2 of them, and we can kind of say India now, at least 3 of them are all starting to have, they're all starting to team up, and at least 3 of them are already been heavily sanctioned by America. So they don't have a lot to lose at this point. So if those 4 nations, and I see somebody said Iran also. Well, Iran's not a nuclear nation, but I'll tell you what, we know Iran is friendly with North Korea, I believe, certainly friendly with Russia. It wouldn't take but for one of those countries to share nuclear technology with Iran, and then they're on board as well. Because you do have NATO member nations now suggesting that they may share nuclear technology with the Ukraine. So Russia could get some get back, so to speak. If you're going to give the Ukrainians nuclear technology, we're going to give it to the Iranians. You see how this stuff is starting to form? Are we great yet? So we're going to talk about that meeting. This last one, oh man, this one is bad. Okay. 3 topics. This 3rd topic, I don't know how long we're going to talk about this, but this one is bad. Now, as you guys are aware, I'll just play the clip. I'll play the clip and then I'll get into the really sinister part of this. But I'm sure all of you guys have heard this coming from many folks on the left and President Trump detractors.
Completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really?
I didn't see that.
You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do him for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors.
Now, a lot of people thought this guy was ill, including yours truly, because Trump loves to be in front of the television. So you don't normally see Trump go 6 continuous days without any sort of press conference, without being in front of the TV. So you heard him being asked, how do you feel about it? And he is partially right that Biden could go 6 days without being in front of the television and nobody would say shit. However, the difference is he would have said something. So he's kind of right and wrong. The liberals wouldn't have said anything if Biden was gone, but the Trump administration and Trump supporters absolutely would have said something if Biden was not in front of the cameras for 6 days. But here's what I'm talking about when I say it's sinister. Why are there so many Democrats wishing and hoping for the downfall of President Trump, wishing for President Trump to pass away? That's what people are wishing for. All over social media, you've seen it. The Democratic wish is that Trump is no longer with us. I'm asking you folks, why are folks wishing for this man to essentially croak? Look, I get you don't like some of his policies. I get, you're not a fan of how he's running the country, but we're talking about wishing for the man's demise. So we're going to talk about all of that. Wishing for somebody to pass away. Wow, that's strong stuff. Now, it is President Trump, so I'm sure the conversation will be quite energetic, but wishing for the president's demise. That's what we're going to talk about. So, as you guys know how the program is ran, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Forgive the backdrop. I'm still working on everything here. A lot of electronics on the way and things like that. So the backdrop will formulate over the next few days, but it is what it is. This is what we're working with right now. I see somebody in the comments says, I love Trump. Fair enough. The Misfits got a great song for Trump. I would like to hear that. They damn near said killed him. I don't know what you mean by that, EZ. Jealous because he is winning. I don't know. Something. I do believe Trump is winning, but I don't know. I would have to see how that translates to the American people. So I'm asking that question right now. Troops in Chicago, Xi Jinping, Putin, Kim Jong-un, and the Prime Minister of India all meeting up. Is that good or bad for Chicago? And last but not least, hoping and wishing for the president's demise. God damn, that's crazy. Wishing for the president's demise. I will start the program off with the one and only gangsta grandma. Good evening, gangsta.
I can't stand Joe ugly fluffing ass. Look at you, already fluffing. Damn.
In what way?
Oh, why should we not about his death? Yeah, the orange needs to get wrung out. Get squeezed, man.
You're telling me by questioning why people want this guy to pass away, that's fluffing?
Why do you think we want him unalive? Why do you think we need a Big Mac to take his ass out? Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Why, Tim?
I don't know. Maybe because you guys are evil? Why would you want somebody to pass away?
No, that motherfucker's evil. He's the Antichrist. A real Christian will tell you that. Unfortunately, the Babylonian butt weasels over on the right. Oh my God, that's the orange Jesus.
How?
He is the Antichrist.
And what is making you suggest he's the Antichrist? And what has he done to make you say something wild like that?
If people know the Bible, and he likes gold everywhere and stuff, that is the sign of Antichrist. What he did, and lined his ass up with the gold statues on that AI, that's a sign of the Antichrist. That is. But, the so-called Christians that voted for him, they don't believe that. But they ain't Christians neither.
You're saying because he likes gold everywhere. So what he said, Mr. T is the Antichrist?
He is the Antichrist.
I mean, Mr. T liked gold. What are you getting at?
Mr. T, I'm talking about orange orangutan.
Yeah, but you said just because he likes...
No, not Mr. T. Mr. T always had gold chains.
Right.
It's not the Antichrist. This mofo had a whole thing of him, his statues, align the streets. That is a sign of the Antichrist.
I've never heard that before. So if you have...
Well, read the Bible.
If you have gold fixtures and stuff all around you, that means that's a sign of being...
Read the Bible. Read the Bible.
All right, I'm learning.
I am a Christian, but I don't push my faith on nobody else. I don't sit here and say you and go to the pits of hell and all this. I don't do all that. You know what I mean? I don't push my faith. The only reason why Christianity is so bad because the white tea man, the devil, the white tea devil, use the Bible against us. They use the Bible against slavery. They use the Bible against anything and everything they can. They use Christianity against people. One night was supposed to be doing that. A real Christian wouldn't do that. But unfortunately, we have Christian nationalists or YT. They are the devil.
Jeez. I'm going to say
They're
that.
evil.
Well, you don't think that only white people use Christianity as a weapon or to gain power, do you?
Yeah. The white man did that. Yes. They're the most. I'm not talking about the normal white people because they be in my ear about what? Yeah, you're racist. You don't like even us. Get the fuck. I swear. See, some white people on our side are special too.
I want you
know
to.
what I mean?
Okay, since you're talking about normal white people, I want you to define what is normal white people in your eyes? What are you talking about?
Okay. The maggots are the ones that will deny anything and everything. And what happened to slavery will deny that they got white privilege. They're the ones that believe that, as they say, black fatigue and shit. That's them. They're the trash. You know what I mean? They're the trash.
But let me ask you something.
The normal white tea people, they're the ones that are on our side that knows what their ancestors did. That will take the white tea privilege and use it and help us and say, you know what, this is the shit that's wrong. That's normal white tea people. But unfortunately, we got the maggots all fucking all that shit up too.
Well, keep in mind, I think Trump got 80 million. How many votes did Trump get? Somewhere 80 million?
No, 77 million.
Okay. Then round it up for.
So Trump gives him 80 fucking million.
Round it up for good measure. Round it up for good measure. Okay. So
No, I don't round that shit. I ain't fluffing like you. I don't like the uncooked protein in my fucking mouth. So no, I ain't gonna bend the knee for a fucking white man. Chin, you need to do fucking better. All you do is fluff. Oh, he's winning. Is
he not?
Winning. He's winning for the rich man.
He's winning.
He's winning for the rich man.
He's winning for him.
For the poor white tea. You know what's fucking crazy? The poor trailer trash asses voted for him. What are they winning? Not a damn thing.
They are winning.
What, food stamps will get taken away?
They are. The poor white man is winning. The ones that voted for Trump, they're winning from.
What?
I'm trying to.
Tell me what the fuck they winning.
I'm trying to.
Please do. Medicaid getting taken the fuck away. Oh, well, what else? They food stamps getting taken away. The cash assistance getting taken away. That's fucking winning.
I'm trying to answer you. They're winning in regards to the way in the direction they wanted this country. They didn't want this country to go far left progressive. They didn't want to know, people don't know what the hell a woman is anymore and children's.
You know what? I'm so sick of you, Cappy, for these motherfuckers. People know what a woman is. See, but their intelligence is like a second grader. Even second graders are more intelligent than a fucking maggot. You feel what I'm saying? We all know what women are. It's a woman or it's a female. Females are biological women. There's a broad spectrum of fucking women. The only thing that they worry about is if we could breed.
I'm just going
to. Oh, the biggest thing about this maggots is? Oh, a woman, they have to have a uterus. They have to have a uterus.
I'm just going to tell you. When the liberals were asked what a woman is, they could not answer the damn question. That's what I'm talking about.
I just answered the damn question.
I'm talking about when
I'm a fucking liberal.
I'm
middle.
I'm talking about when they were asked under oath, like when we were trying to put in the Supreme Court justice, she could not answer the question of what a woman is.
You know what? Because they took the shit. She did answer. They didn't like the fucking damn answer.
But she didn't answer.
Come on. Why would you answer? For another thing, why would you ask a judge what a fucking woman is? How fucking special, fucking idiot of a question would that be anyways?
You're going to ask her.
The right side is obsessed with trans people. Do you know why they're obsessed with trans people?
No.
And especially trans women?
Why?
Because those motherfuckers on the right, they love it to get fucked in the ass. They do.
What the hell?
Let me tell you something. They do. Can I have one that's in my inbox right now? It said they'll give me $500 to fuck it for 15 minutes with 8 inches.
What?
I got receipts.
What?
So please, spare me the BS. Half the motherfuckers are DL. They like it in the ass and everything else. They like pegging and every damn thing else. So fuck me with the damn bullshit, okay? And I'm tired of being fucking nice and every damn thing else. They are. They have a fetish with trans women because they like trans fucking women. They had the GL. They on the low, bitches.
I don't know where you.
And they're conservative. Don't fuck with me on that shit because I fucked them. Okay? In the ass. They pay me money. When I'm a mistress and BD and okay? I made money on fucking them. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. See, but I don't like putting my business out there. But I'm tired of these motherfuckers coming and saying that we don't know what women are when you're motherfucking fucking a damn trans woman.
So wait. I gotta make sure. I have to. I understand your passion, but I gotta make sure I get clarity because what you just said is quite shocking. You're telling me.
It's not shocking. I'm a mistress and That's my last time. I can't say it. It's couple is in the alphabet, okay? And I got paid. I tell you, it's called pegging. And if you know what the kink is in pegging and where you do it, honey, child, the conservative white man loves it like that. And yes, they do. And if you don't believe me, I have pictures and I got fucking receipts. Thank you.
You have pegged MAGA anally for money. Is that what I'm hearing?
I pay white teen men for fucking thousands of dollars. You know how much it is? Because I'm you know what I mean? And yeah. And this motherfucker said, I'm getting fit. If I heard I said, you can't even, that's not even my price. It's not even my price. It's $1,000 for 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
$1,000 for 15 minutes.
Yes. So I tell you. So don't come with me. Fuck me with that. They don't know what a woman. I know what a woman is, honey. There's trans women. They right underneath us. Okay, the umbrella. Okay, we don't have to have a fucking uterus to be a fucking woman, dodos. You know what I mean? They are females. Okay, the biologically. Okay, and there's women out there that don't have uteruses, and they're still a fucking female. Okay, and there's trans women that are women. They're socially women. We all know this, but the IQ is like a thumbtack.
Now, when you say, okay, let's get off. This is wild, but let me get back to the actual topic.
No, it's not wild, honey. Don't play innocent with me. Don't play that you never see somebody get pegged and you never watched Corn before, honey. Yeah.
That version of Corn doesn't interest me.
Conservative white teen men are into that shit. Believe that. I got thousands of dollars from white teen conservative men that go back to their bitches and tell them they straight as fucking hell, but they be calling out my fucking name.
But now Slim in the comments is hearing you, and Slim says, this woman is claiming to be Christian. How do you respond to that? You're talking about pegging people for money.
What, Christian can't have no kinks? What, we supposed to only lay on our backs and do nothing? Shit, God knows I'm a freak. God knows that. God seen me do some freaky shit. God seen me licking. God seen me sucking. God seen me pegging. God seen it all. God knows my heart, though. God knows I pray to him every day and every night. So, yes, I am a Christian. Shit, don't be coming at me. Christians are freaks, too. Shit, hell. What the fuck? We can't be. We go, you know what they want? Is someone just to lay on their back and don't move.
No.
Don't get it in the ass. Don't do nothing. Don't move. Okay? You please stop with your DL ass.
Hell no. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm talking to the man. He said, please stop. I'm not talking to you.
I'm not
talking to you. I'm talking to your little, please stop. No, I'm telling the truth.
All right, because in the words of Kid from Kid and Play, the sign on my ass says "Do not enter." Go ahead. What do you say?
Well, let me tell you another damn thing. Yes, we do wish him unaliving because we don't like the Antichrist because he's a racist piece of shit. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
we all want that to happen. We are going to be. You know what I mean? But shut the fuck up.
Is that really right, though? I mean, listen, I get you don't like the guy for whatever, but wishing that this guy passes away. You're a Christian. You're wanting somebody to pass away as a Christian?
Christians do this though, honey. Christian says, rest in peace, honey. That's what I say. Yeah. Squeeze the orange tangerine. Just squeeze him.
Shouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Shouldn't
Hey,
you?
I didn't say, hey, I'm not a Bible thumping Christian, but I know my Bible. I ain't one of these holy than thou shit.
I thought.
You know what I mean?
I thought Christians
God
pray.
said get rid of the devil,
I
right?
thought Christians.
God said
Wait, hold on.
God, get rid of the damn devil.
I thought Christians pray for people to heal, not pass away.
Oh, he's not, he's Antichrist. Why the hell would I want him to heal? God said he needs a Big Mac, the French fries, extra salt. Yeah.
I don't know. I think you might be a little bit too harsh on the guy. Now I want to ask you something.
Okay, let me tell you. You want me to be I'm a little too harsh. What is he doing with all the undocumented immigrants? Huh? What is he doing to them? And you want me to kiss his white tea ass? And say, oh, give him some grace? Get the fuck out of here.
Well, when you say what is he doing to the immigrants, you do realize we are a nation of laws and these people broke the law.
Well, you know what? If that's the case, why do we have a felon in the office? Okay? Shut your ass up. Quit being a ratty raccoon.
He stated he's a felon according to him because that stuff was a witch hunt. They were trying to prevent him from being president.
That wasn't no witch hunt. It wasn't no witch hunt. He did what he fucking did. They have evidence. Quit. Cut the shit out. Get the uncooked protein out your mouth.
So let me ask you this, because I've posted a few things on my page about folks that are kind of straying away from Christianity. What you've just said, I want to read this comment to you. This is someone basing their comment on your conversation. This is coming from, I think it says Christopher Hendren or something like that. He says, I used to be a Christian until it became stupid like this. So when people ask me what my religion is, I say I follow Jesus Christ because Christians have become stupid. Referring to your conversation.
Well, you know what? This stupid Christian knows the Bible. This stupid Christian feeds the poor people. I take my food truck out and I go feed them in Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm a stupid Christian. I follow the Bible with the stupid Christian, huh? Unlike your orange fucking Jesus that does everything against what Christianity is for.
What do you mean by that?
I don't care if you're not a Christian. I don't throw my beliefs on the next person. I don't go and say, you know what, you're going to go to the pits of hell if you get effed in the ass. I don't do all that shit. I don't. You know, it's to each your own. But don't come at me and tell me I'm a stupid damn Christian because I'll lay all up into your bitch ass. Because the one that's a stupid Christian is the one that voted for a so-called Christian that held the Bible upside down, added to the Bible the shit that he wasn't supposed to add, and then sell the damn Bible. That's not a fucking Christian, okay? And that feeding the damn poor is not a Christian. Taking away from the poor is not a Christian. And you're supposed to invite immigrants into this country. That's what a Christian is. But you know what he will do, though? You know what that motherfucker will do? Will kick God out because he doesn't have a visa. Okay? That's what the maggots would do. So shut your dumb fucking read fucking ass up. I bet he gets pegged too at night by his bitch.
All right, gangster, I gotta move on.
Let me tell you something before I go. Okay? So half these motherfuckers in here get pegged because I got receipts. And they white tea. I got a couple of black ones. They fine as shit. But you know, that's a different topic. But anyways, that is the truth. Okay? And now you tell your fucking white tea so-called friend that you was on your live with for 2 fucking hours to keep his name out my name out his fucking mouth. If he has shit to say about me, tell him to tag my fucking ass and add me.
Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
If I'm not here. I ain't like one of these little motherfuckers. I will come correct.
Who are you talking about?
Your YT trailer trash ass the other day. You was on live for 2 fucking hours, kiki and cockeyed, and that motherfucker was talking mad shit about me. Yeah, bitch, I'm on now. Now tag me, okay? And bring his sorry ass up. And tell him to square the fuck up. I ain't one of these times. I'm not his bitch, and I never will be his bitch, but he's gonna put respect to my fucking name and never ever put his name in my name in his fucking mouth again. Do you understand me? And I'll put that shit on my set.
All right, I'll leave it at that. Gangsta Grandma, living up to your name. Thank you for coming on. All right, and by the way, I do talk to a lot of guests daily. I don't really know who she's talking about, but somebody apparently look. She is a very passionate caller. It attracts a lot of attention. The comments go wild when she's on there. So there's a lot of people talking about Gangsta Grandma. So I don't know who came up live and had something to say about her. But if you let me know who it is, next time I talk to him, I certainly will bring it up. Anyway, looking in the comments, she drunk as shit, says Easy. Sociopath Granny. You guys don't like my last guest? Come on, now be nice to the guest. No, she a jailbird. I lose brain cells anytime Tim entertains this crap. Well, Draco, and I appreciate Draco's a friend of the program. I appreciate your input, but Draco, I bring up folks from all sides of the spectrum, from all sides of the aisle. What do I always say? We are MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. When I get folks on the right that tear into me in not quite, listen, her wording, the F-bombs and things like that, I don't get too many guests that do that. But, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So understand when MAGA comes on the program and MAGA are heavily critical, you liberals don't know shit and all of that, we let them speak. That's what this program is. This is an uncensored program. So if you favor uncensored dialogue, where people from all walks of the political spectrum get to speak, what do we say? We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak on this program. So if you favor that, you're in the right place. I'm going to ask you if you're currently watching us on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, give your boy a follow or a sub and click the like button. This is what we do generally most weekdays, but you're going to hear speech here you don't like. You're going to hear opinions here you don't like. It doesn't matter where the hell you lie on the political spectrum. Somebody's going to come up that speaks differently and thinks differently than you. Now, if you favor being in live streams and social media platforms where everybody is wearing a red hat or everybody's criticizing and hating on Trump, this ain't it. You're going to have people that love Trump and people that hate Trump, people that love liberals and people that think they don't know shit. Everybody gets to speak here. So this is a different type of program. If you're used to being where the audience thinks just like you, this ain't it. You're going to have an audience. You're going to hear audience members from everywhere, all over the spectrum. Looking in the comments, though, she can as a real. All right, I think I know what you're trying to say. She is real. She can be real is what you're trying to say. I shit myself. Hashtag MAGA. Somebody says I shit myself. Hashtag MAGA. I'm conservatively liberal. I'd like for you to explain that. How can you? Whoa, appreciate that. Who just sent that there? Dencal, thank you. Never seen that before. How can you be conservatively liberal? Now, you often hear the Democrats were the party of the KKK and the party of slavery. During that time, the Democrats in the age of slavery, the Democrats were called conservatives. The Republican Party were called progressives. So you can be a Republican progressive. You can be a Democrat conservative, but I don't know how you can be conservatively liberal. I don't think you can be both of those. Anyway, looking in the comments, we'll go ahead back to the box real quick. Don't know if it's bringing up. There we go. And we'll start out with the one and only Dencal. Good evening. Welcome to the program. I'm pretty sure there's someone who's proud to be a Christian. Those scrubbing words she used was not much in my glossary. Dencal, good evening. You're following up with Gangsta Grandma, so I'm assuming you're going to be a little bit softer than that. But I want to ask you, why are so many folks wishing for the president's downfall?
Me personally, I find it hard, to I'm not wishing for his death, but I'm definitely wishing that he's not responsible to be the representative of this country.
You want him impeached?
Yeah. Okay. Impeached, 25th Amendment, whatever processes they have available, I want them to use those processes correctly. I don't want them to circumvent the law and all of that stuff to try to get rid of them. I want them to do it the right way. Because I think that would, I don't think, obviously the MAGA people wouldn't believe that
thank you. Yeah,
they wouldn't believe that there's any right way to do it. That it would all be a partisan thing.
But it's interesting you would say you don't want them to circumvent the law and things like that to try to get rid of him, because some would argue with what he's doing in Texas, he's circumventing the law to stay.
Right, and it's so hard to have this conversation because I've seen people in the media, in the right-wing media, say, so you guys are doing the same thing in California and these other states as he's doing, so what's right and what's wrong? It's like, But at the end of the day, you cannot just allow somebody to circumvent the rules and you sit there and try to follow the rules. You're going to lose every time.
I do tend to agree with that. I don't see how on earth the Democrats could win if they continue to. I mean, because certainly in this case, not Florida. Texas is going to be gerrymandering their votes twice in less than 5 years. So that's definitely not due to any kind of migration or people moving in and out. That's just solely because Trump asked them to do it. So,
and just him saying it out loud in everybody's face just makes it even worse.
Yeah. He did make it clear I want 5 more seats, so that's why it's happening. Yeah, he didn't even deny it. But let me move on and ask you this. Now, you've probably heard these 3 fellows here not looking like the 3 stooges. Xi Jinping in the middle there, Vladimir Putin on one side, and I believe he met with the leader of India as well. I don't think he's featured in the picture here, but not long after Trump met with Putin and claims that he had a great meeting with Putin, here's Putin meeting with Xi Jinping and the Prime Minister of India and the I guess Prime Minister of North Korea. I think that's his title. Whatever Kim Jong-un is called over there, but he's meeting with basically the axis of our enemies. So, is this something we should worry about?
Yes. I mean, driving those people closer. It's what we spent trillions of dollars over decades trying to keep those people apart. A lot of things we do militarily and economically are designed to keep those people from basically beating us out in the economic world, because that's all of their goals is to destroy democracy around the world.
So them all getting together. Okay, give me your best opinion. How would this be bad to the United States if Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and now, I mean, because India was considered an ally, but with Trump imposing a 50% tariff on India for purchasing Russian fuel, he's kind of left them no choice but to see what they can do to alter that as well. So we got India and we got China, we got Russia, and now we got North Korea. Give me your stance on why is that bad for the United States specifically?
Because for one, we're a consumer economy,
right?
And not having access like we want to those markets with the most people in the world. I think China is number 1 and India is number 2, or vice versa.
I don't know where India lies on. I mean, I know China's number 1. We're a big ass consumer too.
India has over 1 billion people,
right?
So I know that they're 3 or 4 times as So
yeah, but we got enough money to buy that shit.
We got enough money to buy this shit, but if they lock us out and they just trade amongst themselves,
that's a problem.
Because all of their goal is to destroy, the power that America, the stranglehold America has on everything. And Trump coming out and going around the world and basically bullying and showing off his power and saying, well, they'll succumb before we succumb. Like those countries, look, even though some of them don't like each other, they would rather deal with each other than to allow us to have a stranglehold on how everybody does business. We dictating who can sell to each other. That's why we mad at India, is because they won't stop buying oil
from Russia. Yeah, Trump just said today, we don't need China. China needs us more than we need them. And for many of you folks are probably familiar with him saying that about Canada as well. He told the Canadians, we don't need you, you need us. So that is, to me, in my opinion, maybe you guys see it differently, but that is quite insulting. Let's say if it's true. Let's say you got a best friend and your friend does need you more than you need him. Maybe you're tougher, maybe you got more money. But to tell your friend that is kind of insulting.
Right, and it would make them want to even mess with one of your enemies just to make that not true. And it's all designed to get at the petrodollar. America having the power to have all of these countries deal with their oil supply in the American dollar is what keeps us, in the position we are as the lone superpower. But now these countries are starting to make deals to say, well, we're gonna sell our oil in yuan, which is the Chinese
in their currency, yeah.
Currency. And for the longest time, BRICS, the countries that are in BRICS, they all haven't been able to come together because none of the countries wanted to cede a different country to.
What are those countries? India, the B is Brazil, Russia, India, China. Okay.
And who was the S? Saudi Arabia.
I don't know who the S is, but
it might be Saudi Arabia. But if they come together, those countries, because there's more countries in BRICS than just that. They just named it BRICS, and other countries are signed on. If they get together and say we're going to do away with the American dollar as the petrodollar, as the world currency, we would be screwed, and people don't understand. And
let me ask it to you this way. Let me ask it to you this way. Imagine you're in one of their shoes. You're Putin, you're Xi Jinping, we know Kim Jong-un already, or even India. If you were in one of their shoes with Trump in office, would you be actively trying to work against America's best interest to stray away from the U.S. dollar?
Yes, they're all on the same continent. They all have a fundamental distrust of America. They know what we've done to all of these countries around the world, and they've been included. Yes, I would be.
I don't know about India. I don't know. Have we done anything really wrong to India though? I don't know if we had a history with India like that.
We have. Like just recently, we've started making new ties with India. Okay. I would have to go back into the history, and I'm not going to act like I'm a history buff as far as India. But there's a reason why, we haven't been good partners with India.
Yeah.
And so I'm just assuming now that we had made amends, and I think with Obama and Biden, we had started making inroads to making deals with them. And now here comes Trump says, oh, you've been cheating us, so we're going to shit on you 50% tariffs all over the place. When he's trying to get access to his billions of people, to buy American products, this is not the way you do it. And now he can sit there with these other 3 or 4. They might be communists, but at the end of the day, people don't care about communism when it has to do with their own, their own
finances. Yeah. Well, here's a $64 million question. Let's see if we get J.D. Vance in office, or we get another liberal after Trump is gone. How do we undo this? Because what you're saying sounds quite damaging. How do we reverse this? If all of a sudden these countries are no longer working with the United States, or they're straying away from the U.S. dollar, obviously this could have long-lasting economic damage, if not relationship damage, to the United States. How do we reverse some of this stuff going forward?
To be honest, I don't really know, because...
Or can we? Can we?
Obviously we can. We would probably have to kiss a lot of ass. We probably have to do like what Obama did when he got in. Remember they said,
apology tour.
He did the Middle East apology tour. And he said, look, I know we did a lot of bad stuff to y'all, but I'm coming to y'all in good faith and try to make deals and try to work out problems. And so I don't think it would be that hard for a politician to do that, considering Trump, to say that's not us or whatever. But how can we gain back the trust of the international community? How can our word be worth anything when we know somebody like Trump can come in and just shoot down every deal? It would probably take decades, man, to reestablish ourselves.
And then, of course, the other problem. Even if you do go on an apology tour, what about the possibility that some of these countries have signed long-term contracts with each other? Let's say, for instance, India, in regards to continuing to get fuel from Russia, they make listen, Russia goes, look, I know they're taxing you. I know they're putting a 50% tariff on you, so we know you're paying the price for doing business with us. How about we knock it down 20, 30% or some fictional? I'm just throwing some out there like that. But if we knock the price of our fuel we export to you down, I need a 15, 20-year contract, a commitment. So even if you do get an apologist in chief in there in the future, they're kind of locked in a deal at that point.
Right. I mean, you're exactly right. Like, some of this stuff can't just be rolled back because they're coming in making agreements showing that they're going to do something different than the United States. They're going to lock them into these deals. They're going to say that's why they're at these bilateral, trilateral meetings, is to make deals with each other. Just the same way Trump goes and comes back and says, hey, we got a commitment for $1 trillion and all of that stuff. They're doing the same thing over there without us.
How does this make?
They're laughing at us right now.
And I was going to ask you something along those lines. Now, Trump just met with Putin, very friendly meeting, laid out the red carpet, fly over, put him in the beast, applauding when he walks up. This is less than a month ago, and now the same Putin that Trump claims he had a great meeting with is now meeting with two of our enemies, if not three of our enemies at the same time. Leads to the question, because we know what they would say if a liberal was doing this. Is Putin and Russia laughing at the United States?
They are having those smiles on their face are genuine, and they are having meetings talking about how to dethrone the United States in open. Like, you can see the notes from their meetings and stuff. They're literally talking about how to remove America as the lone superpower and open up economic ventures between those countries. And with Russia being a part of OPEC Plus, they have an inroads into the energy side. And, I know Trump has got this, he's got this friendship with Saudi Arabia, but they don't like us either. Yeah. They don't like us.
I'm sure they're not very happy with what's going on in Gaza. The Saudis are not. I'm sure of that. Certainly talking about taking the land from the Palestinians and things like that. America's knee deep in that. Even though Netanyahu's the one dropping the ordinance, we're the ones that are giving it to him. And then, of course, Trump stating that we're going to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. You're right. I'm sure most of the Middle East is kind of looking at America with raised eyebrows, at the very least, hatred at the very worst. But before I move on from you, I want to ask you about the third topic. I kind of like in the conversation, I want to ask you about the notion that Chicago is the worst, most dangerous city in the world. That is an actual quote from President Trump, even suggested, or better yet stated, it's worse than Afghanistan. So we're talking about worse than Kabul. What's leading him to say that?
Because he knows that his fans or his followers will believe it. Like, anybody who doesn't know, like, and I'm not trying to normalize this, but 54 shot and 7 dead on a hot-ass holiday in a city with 3 million people is not actually that bad. And I hate to say it like that, but it's been happening like this for decades. So to all of a sudden call what is normal, and I hate to say that, but that's what it is, an emergency that needs the military, is somebody who does not understand what it is to live in a big city.
Well, he's from New York. He knows exactly what it's like to live in a big city.
No, he's not talking. He's telling his people. Oh,
you mean MAGA doesn't know?
Right, yeah, okay. MAGA doesn't know. You're talking about somebody who lived in the outback in the sticks in Alabama. They have no fucking idea whatever happened in Chicago. All they know is they look and be like, 7 dead? Wow, that's a bloodbath.
Yeah, but don't.
Really, if it's 3 million people, right, it's like 0.0000001%.
Yeah, you can see the magnitude of losing 7 people in a weekend, but you're not looking at the magnitude of 2.7 million people. That's a great point.
There were more people that probably died in car accidents in Chicago than what happened with those deaths. And I'm not trying to minimize it, but I'm just talking about the reality of what it's like to live in a big city. Man, there's crime. There's all kinds of shit going on, especially in the low income areas where people are crowded in together. Yeah. It's hot as hell. People ain't got AC. The food is expensive as hell. gas is still expensive. People don't have good transportation, and all of this access to alcohol and drugs, all put together, is a cocktail that's always ready to explode. Every holiday, basically hot holiday in Detroit, we had to deal with these same numbers.
That used to be my running joke. Anytime it was above, 80 degrees coming into a weekend, I'm like, damn, some people about to die this weekend because hot weather and people being outside in Chicago. In most big cities.
Look, women about to be out here half naked. And everybody knows, man, when you drink outside when it's hot as hell, it's about to be some action.
Yeah. So you're right. This is nothing new. Being born and raised in Chicago, myself living there for decades, it's not as, shocking to somebody who is from a big city as, like you said, a lot of folks on the right that are screaming over this is probably folks that live in rural areas in smaller states. But you live in Boston or, Philadelphia or DC somewhere, LA, this is not that, not that unusual. But Denkel, I appreciate you coming on. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
I just wanted to respond to Stevie D. He talking about at this point, I'm like, whatever, if y'all don't care people's lives anymore, why should anyone else? Listen, you should be concerned with lives everywhere. But my problem is nobody is giving a damn about people's lives in red states who are dying at a higher clip than they are in Chicago. When you see these numbers, then they only talking about the blue state numbers. Nobody's talking about how many people died in Jackson, Mississippi, and all of those places, that Jacksonville, or none of that shit, because y'all don't give a fuck. So what I'm saying, if you're gonna apply this military shit, you got to do it across the board for everybody. Then nobody can say shit. But if you're only applying this shit just to fuck with people in certain areas, knowing that the moment you leave those areas, they're gonna go back to the same. You're only doing it for political reason. So yes, I say don't fucking come. If you're gonna come here for 29 days, so you don't have to pay the military, they BAH. You got to pay the military their BAH if they go past 30 days on a deployment. So those people don't get money for subsistence. They don't get money for food or housing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
As long as they get recalled after 29 days, they got to be there for 30 days.
Wow.
So he's using these people as a political ploy to make you think he's doing something while they out in the goddamn parks cleaning up fucking trash.
Yeah. And that's what they've been seen doing. Denkel, and by the way, they've been handing out moving violations too. Appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
All right.
And he raises a good point. I'll second. I'll throw on that on top of what he was saying to Stevie D in the comments. It is politically based. Because listen, 54 shot. You see on my screen there now. The death toll I believe is up to 9. So some more of those folks have passed away. But 54 people got shot over the Labor Day weekend, and at least 9 fatalities. What my last caller stated is something I would like to know. How many people were shot in St. Louis or Memphis or Cleveland? I mean, it may not be 54, it may not be 9 dead, but people are getting shot and killed in those cities. Why is it completely outside of the conversation? I mean, because it doesn't matter what your source is. Google, Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGoose, whatever you use as a source will tell you, FBI, all of those suggest that Chicago is not even in the top 10. Some of those sites say not even in the top 20 for most violent cities in America. Yet that's all you hear about is the violence in Chicago. So it does make me wonder, what are we not hearing about that's going on in Memphis or going on in New Orleans or going on in Baton Rouge or Little Rock, Arkansas? Because you're seeing folks on right-wing media that are in Chicago like, yeah, we send the National Guard here. Our crime is out of control. You're seeing folks in D.C. on right-wing networks talking about we need to have the National Guard sent here. You don't think there's anybody in Memphis, St. Louis, Baton Rouge, Jacksonville, Florida, nobody in those towns that would want that sent there as well? Or is it a case where we're only focused, as my last caller stated, we're only focused on liberal cities and liberal states, and we're not even going to take a camera crew to any of those liberal cities in Republican states and even ask them a question. We're not even going to look into that, because that's what it does seem like. And what you're hearing is the Democrats are pro-crime. The Democrats don't want to fight crime. Well, it is going to lead to the question, if the Republicans do want to fight crime, why are they not addressing it in their own states? If you are on the right side of the aisle and your goal is to lower crime, why are you focusing on the liberal states and not stepping up your game in Republican states? That don't make a lot of sense. Certainly when you take into consideration the state of Tennessee sent National Guard troops from their state to Washington, D.C. when they got cities in their own state that's more violent than D.C. Ohio did the same thing. Louisiana did, all three of those states, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Ohio, all have cities in their state that are more violent than D.C., yet they sent their National Guard troops hundreds of miles away to D.C. If you truly want to lower crime, why wouldn't you start at home first? Have you heard the governor of Ohio talking about doing anything to address the high crime rate in Cleveland? Or the governor of Tennessee talking about doing anything to address the high crime rate in Memphis? You hear them talking about Chicago. So that is a question to raise. Why are you so focused on Chicago when you got violence at home? And by the way, every city I just named, according to the FBI, has a higher propensity of violence than Chicago does. So it does seem like there is some sort of agenda or tunnel vision focused on Chicago. I'm not saying that Chicago ain't violent as hell, but we're to the point where the other cities don't even get mentioned. Have you heard Trump say anything at all, literally at all, about a violent city that's in a Republican state? Now, they're all liberal cities. A lot of them are liberal cities too, but a liberal city that's in a Republican state. Have you ever heard him talk about crime in any city that meets that criteria? That could be Houston, as I said, Cleveland, Columbus, Toledo. That could be Memphis, Nashville. That could be New Orleans. That could be Baton Rouge. That could be Little Rock. Have you heard him say anything about any city that's violent that happens to be in a Republican state? If somebody mentioned Atlanta, Atlanta could be another one. Why is that being done? Why is he skipping over those areas? And now he's talking about going from Chicago to potentially sending the National Guard into Baltimore next. So he's just skipping through the top 10 cities that are most violent and just picking out the liberal ones in liberal states. That is why people are against this. It ain't that they want to favor crime happening. It looks like you're doing this with some kind of political agenda. Looking in the comments, you don't actually want to talk about it. Got it, says Tony. Well, state your case. We'll certainly address that. We don't run from comments because you have a difference of opinion. Go ahead and state your case. How dare he disregard his own MAGA cities? That's what it appears to be. If you are for the state's rights, worry about your own state. That's a great point as well. It looks like states' rights could be in jeopardy with what he's doing. But continuing on with the program, we'll go ahead and continue on with Miss Mo Better, I think it is. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Or did I hit Sherbert? Sherbert, good evening. Welcome to the program. Sherbert, how are they shooting each other with all these gun laws? Well, hold on a second, Sherbert.
No worries.
Okay, you had the Governor Pritzker, as you see pictured here. He was on television making it clear they don't want the National Guard to come into the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. But then the city of Chicago mayor followed up, and he said, as opposed to sending the National Guard, what you could do is help us with all of these illegal guns that are flowing into our city. And he stated that the guns are coming from places like Mississippi, Indiana, and I forgot the other state he named. So when you say that, when you start talking about guns and tough gun laws, it appears that the guns are coming from red states. Sherbert, good evening. So, Chicago, worst city in the world, he said. Most violent and worst city in the world.
I mean, he's called American cities shithole.
Yeah.
You know,
that is
called America a third world falling country. He is not above using propaganda to make his point. This is just another day, honestly, and if you've actually paid attention and didn't get sucked into the slogans, yeah, this sounds like textbook Trump.
Yeah, but a president calling one of his own cities the worst and most violent, or what did he say, the worst? Yeah, I think he said the worst and most violent city in the world. I mean, he suggested that Chicago is worse than Afghanistan. I mean, surely there are MAGA that served in the war and has been to Afghanistan. I mean, isn't it, shouldn't even MAGA know that Chicago is not more violent than Afghanistan?
Well, yes. That doesn't matter when you get locked up within the chants and the slogans that they keep throwing out there. That's the thing about Trump, is that he just keeps saying the same thing over and over and over, to the point where people don't know what Russiagate is, because when you look into it, a lot of Trump people were charged for legitimate things that were shown in the evidence, and it's just, no, Russia, 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 to the point where it doesn't matter to anyone. I'm so tired of these.
So he's a good salesman, is what you're saying. He knows how to move a crowd, to quote Eric B. and Rakim. He knows how to move the crowd.
Unfortunately, for people that aren't paying attention, the same people that can be hypnotized very easily feel like MAGA.
Be hypnotized?
Well, you know, there's certain, when you've listened to people talk about hypnotists, they'll say like, oh yeah, half the people they can just get, in a blink. And then there's some people where it's hard, and some people where it's just some about them, they won't let them do it. And MAGA is very quick to see, the title on your TV screen there and go, oh my God, and then not understand statistics of what the last caller was saying.
Yeah, and that is something that I had a debate with I usually go to MAGA platforms when I'm not here talking to you fine folks, and I was on a MAGA platform earlier, and I had the guy do his research because he wasn't going to believe anything I was saying, and I told him, I said, whatever you do for research, find out, just go ahead and go to your whatever site you use and type in the most violent cities in America, and I said, read to me what they're saying. And he read, and I think his site, which I think was on X, he used Gronk or whatever it's called. And even on X, it has Chicago. Now, we know X leans right for certain with Elon Musk. But even on his site, Chicago came in number 7. Now, the FBI, I don't think even has Chicago in the top 20. But even on a right-wing site like X or whatever, Chicago's number. And I asked him, I said, any idea why he would start with number 7? And he had no answer for that. Like, if your goal is to bring down violence, why would you start with the 7th most violent city? And he had no answer for that.
Well, it's all the more reason that you can say they're in a cult, because nothing matters except for what their leader says. It's gotten to the point of absurdity that the bad faith actors are so very clear at this point. There used to be a time where you could say, no, Joe Manchin is just being a good person. But then all of these MAGA Republicans vote down the Epstein release, and all of those people should be midtermed out. But we'll see. We'll see what people think. But you can't be a bad person and then be so very clear about it, like with Texas locking up our representatives until they voted.
I don't know.
It's so very clear. There's no more like, give them the benefit of the doubt, guys. No, you're done.
So do you want all of the stuff you're complaining about that you're saying that Trump and MAGA are doing? Do you want, like what my last caller was saying, do you believe the Democrats, in order to have a fair fight, have to do the same stuff?
Absolutely.
Wow.
You can't have the rigged hand, running everything. It's exactly, I heard this a while ago, and it keeps being proven that MAGA is just always projecting whenever they're bitching about something. And so they would not shut up about election stealing. And now they're the ones rigging the system and trying to take away mail-in ballots and making everything harder and closing all of the offices for everything. Well, but no, we're the bad guys for some reason.
Well, Trump is adamant that mail-in voting increases fraud. That's what
Russia uses mail-in ballots, and Russia was the one that told Trump everything to say. So it's very clear that Trump is too stupid to understand propaganda and how the system works, because when they actually looked into it, Bill Barr had to quit because Trump wouldn't listen to him.
Yeah, I'll say in regards to that, I really wish Because I know a lot of MAGA tend to believe what Trump is talking about in regards to things that can increase fraud. I just wish he had been able to prove that stuff with some significance. If you're saying that mail-in ballots are, if you're, I mean, literally, if you're saying that mail-in ballots are creating all of this fraud, you should show plenty of examples of it happening. If you're saying that illegal immigrants are voting and things like that, it would make the case stronger if he presented evidence of this stuff as opposed to just saying it. But you are right from a standpoint of, for MAGA, the evidence isn't necessary. If he says it's happening, therefore it is.
Well, you remember what was it, the Internet Ninjas, where they came in and were looking for bamboo fibers in all the ballots?
Yes, I do.
They did every single thing they could, and they won't shut up about the smallest details they do find. So, if they had it, they would have said something.
Yeah. It would make things it would make things a lot more. It would justify a lot more of his statements. I mean, because he still obviously said he won the 2020 election by a landslide. I mean, just a little bit of proof of what you're saying. I mean, there certainly, if you're going, because he's not claiming that the 2020 election was not ran properly and it looks suspicious. No, you're saying you won by a landslide. So that means you know for certain you won a lot more votes than Biden. Proof. That's all it needs to be presented. He should be able to show some actual evidence to that, and unfortunately, we're not seeing that.
Tim, there would literally be a mountain of proof if there was that many ballots that were messed with and they got into an evidence pile. They would literally need a warehouse if there was a massive swing the other way. Yeah. So, where is it? He's literally in power. He has every part of the government, and he's too stupid. Or it's a lie, Occam's razor here, but he has the power to do everything and he possibly could to release any file that proves him right, and nothing ever comes out.
I'm talking
of 10-year-old shit.
I'm talking to more and more MAGA, at least some of them, that are admitting, he probably didn't win the election. I mean, obviously they still like Trump. They like his direction more than the liberals, but I am starting to talk to more and more MAGA that are coming out and saying, it don't look like what he said was true. I mean, because like you said, he controls all facets of government, legislative, executive, and judicial. He's got the Supreme Court behind him. You got the governor of the states you claim the cheating was happening, and they're also red governors. Like, you should be in a position to show a whole lot of proof, and it's just nothing coming out of it. I mean, we're talking like we're 5 years down the road. Like, you should have some serious evidence to present. So,
well, Tim, we have evidence in Coffee County, Tennessee, I think. But I just remember Coffee County, where that lady let somebody in to mess with the machines and steal the data off of it. So the only breaches that we have concrete facts of is Republicans cheating with mail-in ballots and fucking with the machines. There is literally zero evidence that Democrats did anything other than run an election.
Yeah, and that also doesn't make the situation any better either. Not only have you not proved your side, a lot of people on your side have been caught themselves for cheating. So that don't help out either, because a lot of times MAGA will say, well, where are the 20 million votes, or what about this, or what about that? But then when you go, well, what about this whole, fake elector scheme? Well, and then it gets kind of hazy. But yeah, unless something of significant changes, I don't see how Trump doesn't go down in history as a president that tried to steal that election. How could he not? I mean, have you seen anything that would suggest, like I said, unless he shows some serious proof beyond what he is just saying, do you see anything to suggest that he will not go down in history as a president that tried to steal an election?
I would put down everything I own, which isn't very much, but I would put everything down that he will go down that way, because he can change the history books right now, but we have cell phones. We have memory cards. This isn't the 1850s. Yeah. We know what happened. The world is laughing at us, and we will have to earn that respect back over the next 10, 20 years over this dipshit in 4 or 5 years.
Well, speaking of earning that respect back,
we're losing it. We're not a superpower.
But were we not told that under Biden the world was laughing at us, and now that we have Trump, we have a leader that is respected and to some degree feared worldwide?
As Trump rolls the red carpet and bows to Putin, shows him literally one of our most secretive aircrafts on the inside, gives him a tour.
What aircraft?
Yeah,
wait, what
we're not
aircraft?
being laughed at now.
What aircraft did he get Putin a tour of?
The B-52.
Well, geez. I don't know if that's one of our most. Is that one of our most secretive? I don't. Well,
It's definitely up there.
yeah. Wow. Why would he do that? Why would he do that?
Because he loves dictators. When you see the cabinet meeting of them all, congratulating Trump for half the time, he wants that shit. It's so very clear. And when people want to be Trump sexuals and gag on him all day like fucking MAGA reacts, I don't know what to tell you. You're being retarded here.
I do have to ask, just to get clarity, what is a Trump sexual?
It's somebody that can't stop vomiting out Trump speak and being a stand for him. Because you've seen MAGA Reacts turn himself into a pretzel to justify horrible things that have never had any proof. Just to, yeah, but go Trump. Okay, there's a mountain of evidence here. Things are broken now when they weren't before. What do you got? And they just go, but go Trump. If you can't look at anything rational, it's because you're so consumed with Trump's balls that you have to,
All right, before
Trump sexual.
I think I've heard the term before, but I never knew what it meant. But before I'm moving on from you, I have to ask, why are people wishing for this man to pass away? You find that funny? Wishing for a man to lose his life?
You have to ask that question. I think is funny. He's not a good person. He has literally ripped away healthcare and cancer research and every facet of the government that actually helped people. He has tried to rip away with Doge and his own actions. We have become horrible with Stephen Miller and just letting him do whatever the fuck he wants.
So you're saying he's not
enabled all of that.
You're saying he's not a good person, but is the person that you're suggesting so bad that it makes sense to wish that they die?
Yes. What did I just say 5 minutes ago? That we were going to have to rebuild the trust of the entire world for the next 20 years. And it's because of this orange mangoed motherfucker that we have entire lists of reasons why we don't like him. Valid ones with data. Of course, I want him to stop fucking with the world and getting us closer to World War III or the economic crash that is going to come when we have shut off the supplies from the rest of the world on everything, like our medicines that India produces for us now have 50% markup on them. Great. We already can't afford our medicines. So tell me where the good thing is, and I will maybe not wish him to die, but...
I can't speak on where the good thing is, but Sherman, before I let you go, you do understand that MAGA still sees President Trump as one of the best presidents we've ever had in America's history.
Yeah, and when you ask them why, they come up with rhetoric. When I say I don't like him, I usually come with facts. And if I don't know them, I can bring up a million videos where they actually get into the data and tell you why you're an idiot.
I gotta move it on, but I gotta get a MAGA individual on here. Maybe they can explain it, because I do get a lot of folks that
notice they've been real quiet lately. I haven't heard almost any of them because they've gone over the point of no return with their pretzel-like shit. Now they're limped over with a hunch, trying to hold all that horse shit up. So you're not hearing them much because they can't make it to the phone.
Wow. Well, I have some of my regular MAGA, I guess you're right, have went away, but some of them also, like Jeremy, he stated he's not happy with Trump. MAGA reacts, there's a few things he's not happy with. So some of the MAGA that I regularly get on the program are finally starting to show a little cracks in the foundation, but we'll see how it goes. Sherbert, appreciate you coming through.
Have a good night.
You too. Real quick, tap the screen. I haven't asked you guys to do that at all tonight. We should have been around 40,000. Tap the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Didn't count. Says Stevie D. That's how insults work. I wish I had seen the beginning of that conversation. Tap the screen. Get the likes up. Get me on up to about 40,000. We can certainly make that happen. I know it's a big ask right now, but I haven't mentioned it. As you know, we are MAGA friendly. Trying to get some of my MAGA viewers up. I like to hear all sides of the spectrum. We don't get as much MAGA as we used to because the program is a lot more critical of Trump than it used to be a year ago because we were very critical of Biden during that time. Obviously, Biden is not president anymore, and it doesn't. Not only is he not president, but he's kind of irrelevant at this point. So we're not going to sit here and hammer Biden when he has zero power and you don't really see him on TV. By the way, are you guys aware with Trump's effort to obtain the Nobel Peace Prize? They nominated Biden. They nominated Biden to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Wow. Do you think Biden makes a better recipient for the Nobel Peace Prize than Trump? I'd be curious to know, but it sounds like they nominated Biden for the Nobel Peace Prize. You think Trump might be a little bit, just a tad bit upset about that? Mr. I stopped 7 or 8 wars. I mean, Trump was actively shopping for the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, actively shopping for it. Now, if he's ending wars, that is an accomplishment that should be noted. But based on the way he was shopping, one could argue that he was not just ending wars for the sake of doing it. He was ending wars in hopes of getting that prize. He was shopping for the Nobel Peace Prize. Kind of like, you know, for some of you big city folks, you pull up to an intersection in Detroit or in Chicago or LA somewhere and some, you know, poor guy jumps on your hood and he's using newspaper to wash your windows off. He ain't doing that because he just wants you to have a clean windshield. He wants a tip. He's doing it for something. That's what Trump came across when he's ending all these wars. He's kind of like the guy washing the windows. It's a great, look, I'm glad I can see now, but you're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. I mean, he was actively shopping for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I see in the comments, Dencal also points out, then he attacked a boat in Venezuela claiming that drugs are coming to America or whatever. Now, if you see the video footage of the boat that he attacked, it's an open boat. So you can actually, by FLIR or infrared, whatever they were using, you could actually see the silhouettes of the people. So it's like a big-ass fishing boat of sorts. Maybe, you know, maybe going faster, but it's just an open boat. Is it not possible that they could have got a go fast or something and pulled up alongside it with a couple 50 cals aimed at it and told it to stop? Did they actually have to murder all of the inhabitants on the boat? I'm not defending drug dealers, but I am tending to think that there was a better way to do that than just blow everybody to smithereens, which is what they did. That's the guy seeking the Nobel Peace Prize. Remember, he was seeking the Nobel Peace Prize. You've seen so many drug arrests on the high seas made by the Coast Guard, made by the Navy, and they do get into a go fast and they pull alongside the boat. Maybe they're in a Black Hawk flying alongside the boat. You use your 50 cal or whatever, shoot out the engine of the boat or whatever and disable it at sea. And at that point, they ain't got no other choice but to put their hands up. I mean, they just blew it up. Killed everybody on board, most likely also destroying all of the drug evidence to go along with it. I don't know. It just seems like there was a more... And look, I know a lot of people favor getting rid of drug dealers. I get that. But it just seems like they took the most violent route that they could take. But let me go ahead and go back to the comment section and back to the box. Tap the screen. Get a lot of lazy thumbs in here. Tap the screen. Get the likes up. We're trying to get it to about 40,000. Trump doesn't deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, says Alice McCrae on Facebook. By the way, we are on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. If you enjoy this type of dialogue, give your boy a subscription if you're watching on YouTube. Follow the program if you're watching on TikTok and if you're watching on Facebook. Donald Trump has never had a successful business. That ain't true. His golf courses are very successful. His hotels have been. That's not. I mean, he is a successful businessman. I don't think there's anybody that does as much business as President Trump without having a couple occasional bankruptcies here and there. I think he's a successful businessman. We can differ on that. Markedly, yeah, he got a China, what did that say? Markedly, he got, I didn't see your comment, it moved away. Remember, Donald didn't give us COVID, China did. And guess who remember, Donald didn't give us COVID, China did. And guess who financed them? Obama. You think Obama financed China? In what way? How do you finance China? I would love to know what you mean by that. Can we talk about Trump's obsession with gold and what it says in the Bible? I didn't know this. Mark says, can we talk about President Trump's obsession with gold and what it says in the Bible? Gangsta Grandma, in all her passion, was my first caller today. And she said that I've never read this in the Bible, but she stated that in the Bible it says people who are obsessed with gold is some sort of connection to the Antichrist. That's what she used. So I'll leave it at that. I didn't see that. But continuing on with the program, we'll go back to the box, take the next caller. Obsessed with gold, tied to the Antichrist. Have you ever heard anything like that, Miss Mobetta? Somebody that has an obsession with gold? Have you heard anything like that?
Yes, with materialism, period. God frowns upon the tax man.
But you don't.
Frowns upon that. So it's like, because they will chew up the little people to maintain their status.
But
so
you
God
don't.
Frowns upon that.
You don't view Trump as the Antichrist, do you?
He anti everything. He's anti-Christ. He's anti-human. He's just anti-nice. He's just anti-everything. And you wonder why people are wishing on his unalivement, which I don't. I don't despise anybody that much to I wish death upon them. However, he has people so exhausted till we just want him to disappear. Go on one of your golf courses and eat some sandwich or whatever you're allowed to eat, Big Macs or fries or something. Look, he's suffering now. You see his hands and stuff all black because he's taking so many aspirins, but yet they said Biden, oh, he's sick and Biden's health is going down and Trump is deteriorating right in our face. And nobody's saying nothing about
I got it. You make a good point. And before I address that, Moran, I appreciate that. Moran at the Patriot level says Miss Mobetta in Gen X 2028. Miss Mobetta in Gen X 2028.
What?
So that's what he says. Miss Mobetta in Gen X 20. So one of you guys are going to be, who's going to be at the top of the ticket? You going to have Gen X as your running mate, the Proud Boy?
I doubt that. I doubt that. We don't see eye to eye on shit, not even making a sandwich.
But you know something, to be honest, I know we're joking here, but to be honest, we probably would do better if we had a president and a running mate like that from both parties like that. So that
that's true. That is true, and I believe you probably do need a little bit of both in there.
Yeah.
You understand? So you can see things from both angles, and so things could be balanced out, because now there's no balances, no checks and balances. There's none of that going on. Everything that's happening, not everything, but most of the things that are happening now is unlawful. And the judges are saying so. And who knows the law better than judges?
Yeah. Well, but Trump is going to suggest that they're all radical Democrat judges.
Of course. Like, he's full of semantics. It's all about the pitch. My pitch is better. I'm going to keep pounding it in their heads because I have enough followers. I have enough members in my cult that it has me sustained. It has him sustained. That's how he won the election.
But is he not, when you talk about it's all about the pitching, is he not the best salesman in presidential history?
Oh, he has the gift now. He has the gift to gab. He has the gift to gab. It's just you need enough slow people to listen. And he has that. Well, how many? About 77 million?
Yeah, you're not suggesting that all MAGA are slow, though, are you?
About 98% of them.
Whoa! Well, I mean, listen. There are
a very high number.
No, no.
I want to see. I wonder tomorrow that they're supposed to have the Epstein survivors on Capitol Hill tomorrow. They're supposed to be doing a conference tomorrow. I wonder if he's going to send the National Guard out there.
That could be interesting. I disagree with you, though, that 98% of MAGA are slow. Like I've said many times on the program, there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump over Kamala Harris or Biden. I mean, there are legitimate reasons that have nothing to do with being slow. I mean, it depends on your finances.
Well, help me out with it then.
Sure. Well, are you pro-life? You going to vote for Kamala Harris? Are you pro-2A? You going to vote for Kamala Harris? Shall not be infringed? I mean, those are legitimate reasons that have nothing to do with being slow, racist, or any of that. I mean,
listen, Kamala Harris, she wasn't trying to take people's firearms from them. She said she's a firearm holder herself. See what it is? They weren't interested in listening to what she had to say. They were disinterested at Trump saying that she's not black.
well,
Or she's a DEI hire, or she slept her way to the top. So that was the stuff they were listening to. They weren't listening to the things that she was pitching.
yeah, but I think in some cases, some of the things that Kamala Harris, just like Trump, were pitching, in some cases you can come across as inauthentic. And when you got somebody like Kamala Harris talking about, she's pro-gun and she owns a Glock and all that, she doesn't come across as authentic.
Well, that's just in a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
That's just one's opinion. However, that doesn't mean that she wasn't genuine.
Yeah. But you do get my point, though. When I say there's legitimate reasons.
I get it. I get it. But he made it seem like he made it seem as if she was coming after your guns. That she was trying to take people's firearm for him, and that was furthest from the truth.
Well, anytime, some of that's politics. Anytime you get a Democrat, they're going to say the Democrat is a socialist that's trying to take your guns. Anytime you get a Republican, they're going to say the person's a racist and they're trying to take away your rights.
What the crazy thing is, Tim, because Trump was the one who was actually trying to stop it. Where he was saying, well, we need to get the guns out of the hands of these people until they get testing done. And he was the one who was actually pitching that, not her.
He did say that.
But it disappeared once he got up on once he got to a certain, he had to roll back. Say, "Oh, I can't say that too loud."
Yeah, he did say sometimes you got to take away the gun first, then give due process later. I've played the clip many times on the show. He is the only president that's ever talked about taking away guns without even giving the person due process.
He was the one pitching it. People have selective hearing. They only want to listen to, and that from both sides. I get it. You only want to listen to because you like the person. I get that.
How about this one?
You still got to listen to what they're saying.
Yeah. How about this one, though? In regards to Kamala Harris, USA 1776 says she gave how many blacks years in prison over a little weed? So, in other words, Kamala Harris is locking up black people in mass quantities.
First of all, she was a prosecutor.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, when she was a prosecutor, weed was illegal. Yeah. It was not legal. So listen, if you was out there doing crime, again, they want to just pick out one or two things and then they take it and run with it without doing their research to see what really happened.
Yeah. And I would say
and a lot of that stuff, it happened at the hands of the office that she worked in, not with just her particularly. It was with the office that she actually worked for, not just her.
No, here's something I said on my last broadcast that I got in trouble for, particularly from Gangsta Grandma and those types. I said that Trump's resume, when he ran in 2024, was very competitive to Kamala Harris. And, because everybody said Kamala Harris had a much better presidential resume than Trump and all that. And I said, no, Trump has...
I brought that up.
What do you mean?
I brought that up to you. Yes, we went through that the other day.
Yeah.
When I was talking about, let's compare the resumes. Yeah, he was the president, but we already know. They talk about the 2020 election was stolen from him. They stole it from Hillary to give it to him. So if y'all really want to go back, let's go back. When Hillary actually beat him.
What? What do you... Wait.
Yes, Hillary did beat him. Yes, she did. Don't take my word for it. You go back and you do that research and look it up for yourself. She beat him.
I'm not aware that Hillary Clinton beat Trump. I don't know where you're getting it from.
Okay. Well, listen, she did. And everybody know that he knows that too. Because again, when you have people like the Steve Millers in certain positions, trust me, if they want to say that he won, they're going to say he won.
But I'm going to ask you the same thing, because listen, I don't want to just give MAGA a hard time on this or Trump a hard time. I'm going to ask you the same thing as a liberal. What evidence does Hillary Clinton have that she won?
I really don't know what evidence she had. Maybe the numbers, the polling numbers or something came back. I really.
You don't. Then you sound just like MAGA. You're saying something happened with no proof.
But listen, when that night of that election, when Hillary was running against Trump, she was up. She was up totally.
That's exactly what MAGA says when they were running against Kamala Harris, or maybe he had against Hillary Clinton, or Biden.
Kamala beat him too.
No. I slip of the tongue. You said Hillary Clinton was up and then she lost. I'm saying that's the same thing that MAGA says about Trump. When he lost when he lost in 2020, they said Trump was way up, and then by morning Biden was up. You sound just like MAGA.
I probably do.
Yeah.
I probably do. I probably do. But guess what? They didn't go around saying that anybody cheated though.
Yeah, they did. They said the Russians. They said
at that time they didn't, huh?
They said the Russians helped Trump.
They might have.
You sound just like MAGA.
To see that picture you put up there with our allies up there, our enemies up there with what's his name, Putin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But again, with all jokes aside, we're in a crazy position right now, and I don't know if you go to the grocery store or if you shop or do anything. Prices and everything is up crazy.
But I gotta push back. Gas prices are doing pretty well. The price of fuel is not bad at all.
I get that. Gas price, because you know that can be its own entity. The president really has little to do with gas prices. They might have some effect, but as far as anything else, that has its own entity. So gas is not really the issue. They just say that's just a political thing. Oh, we're gonna bring down gas prices. We're gonna do that. And listen, gas is a supply and demand thing. So,
well, I mean, for gas prices to be down over the summer, because that's generally when they're up. I mean, in terms of gas prices, the Trump administration has not done a bad job. I think they've done a good job at least keeping them stable. Now, I agree with you. The president does not often have a lot to do with the price of fuel. However, if the price of gas was $5 a gallon right now on average, we would be blaming Trump. So if the price goes down, it's only fair to give him credit for it. The same thing with Biden. When gas was,
I'll let you give him that credit.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, Tim.
Okay.
Because I know you gotta give him some type of credit. You think we're too hard on him, but listen, he sets his own precedent. He sets his own precedent, and that's why a lot of people don't rock with him. You know what I mean? So when you go around here making enemies with people that you claim that we don't need, that we actually do depend on, because like you said, you and Dan Cal was talking earlier, we are the biggest consumers. Yeah. We consume more than we put out.
Yeah, then we export.
You know what our biggest thing we put out is guns.
Wow.
It's guns. Why do you think that the borders and stuff are never closed? Because they come over here to purchase those guns. They don't make those in their own country. They come here to get them.
We are a huge exporter of weapons. There's no denying that. Miss Mobetta, I do got to move it on, but you said a sad state of affairs, huh?
Yeah, and before you go though, about the thing with Chicago, like I said, again, he don't like Chicago because that's where Obama's from. Anything that has Obama attached to it, he's going to try to attack it. Getting rid of the health insurance and all that stuff, what they was calling it, Obamacare, which is called the Affordable Care Act. He's going to attack all of that stuff. Now he wants to give Giuliani the Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, I heard that. Wow.
Come on, Tim.
And that guy...
Well, give him the Medal of Freedom, and he was locked up for doing some crooked shit for you. Like, they can make sense.
Trump is a transactional guy. If you work with him, he looks out for you.
Yeah, and look out for you, all right, after you do jail time.
Shout out to the January 6th participants.
Yeah, listen, he let out murderers and sex offenders in January from the
murderers. Who? Wait. January 6th murderers. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, attempted murder. Excuse me. It was attempted murder, and the guy ended up getting in trouble again for essaying. You had criminal criminals locked up amongst those people.
There were January 6th protesters that were charged with attempted murder.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, I know one of them that got pardoned, got into I believe a gunfight with an Indiana cop and ended up state trooper and they got.
It was just a whole mess. He let people out without even knowing who they were. He just again, as things were so political, till he did anything just to defy the odds. I'm gonna do stuff to defy the odds, and what's happening is again, people are paying for that stuff.
Wow. All right, Miss Mobetta. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. And she raises an interesting point. Now, as I stated, there was a cop, a state trooper, I believe, in the state of, I think it was Indiana, that got into a gun battle with one of those MAGA protesters from January 6th that had been pardoned. And they ended up killing him. So the point could be made is that cop who could have lost his life would not have been in that situation if Trump had not pardoned that guy. Because this is what we often talk about, liberal judges being soft on crime. You know, the guy who took Lincoln Riley's life, if he had been not let go by a judge, Lincoln Riley might still be alive and things like that. Well, this applies in this way as well. That cop would not have had to go through that life and death experience if this guy was not pardoned by the Trump administration. So it can go both ways. Trump pardoned, and that ain't the only person that Trump pardoned that later committed another felony. Some of them folks that were pardoned on January 6th did commit additional felonies. So if you're going to point out liberal judges being soft on crime, you cannot exclude Trump from letting out people that later turned into secondary felons as well. They went back, they were charged with a felon for what they did on January 6th. Trump comes along, pardons them, and they get out and commit another felony. Same thing you complain about liberal judges. Why don't we know the names of those victims like Lincoln Riley? What do you mean, why don't we know the names of the victims? Oh, good question. Because the liberals don't slam it like that. That's why you don't know the names of them. The liberals don't slam stuff the way the right is much better at selling these core issues, like finding somebody that had to play against a biological male in sports, and then all of a sudden the person is all over Fox and Newsmax, and you start knowing their name. They're just better at selling that kind of stuff than the left is. So that's probably why you don't know their names like that. In fact, I remember we were having a lot of debates back and forth during the election about this whole protecting the integrity of women's sports. And I was talking about how few people in America actually even have to deal with that. And I had MAGA guests coming on here talking about a female got beat up in the boxing ring by a biological male, and they were using that as a rally point. And this turns out to be an Olympic fight, and this happened between, I think the fighter was from France in the Olympics, and the other person was from another. This was something completely outside of the United States. Yet they were using the fact that a transgender female beat up a biological female in a boxing fight that had nothing, neither participant was a citizen of the United States. The fight did not take place in the United States or anything. Yet MAGA was using that as an example, that we need to protect the integrity of women's sports, so we got transgender boxers beating up on females. Like, this ain't even happening here. You're in another country talking about their politics. I believe the Saudi royal family just gave him $32 billion last year. Who are you talking about? Anyone that broke the law that day certainly deserves a day in court and whatever is coming to them. The left treating it like some insurrection when they literally imported millions of voters is bullshit. Well, and this goes back to what I'm saying there, Steve. When you make claims like that, the evidence, show proof, and I'm on board with you. I get hammered by the left when I give Trump and MAGA credit for stuff. Show the evidence that the liberals literally imported millions of voters, as you're saying. I don't see any evidence that the liberals imported millions of voters. I guess you're talking about illegal immigrants and undocumented immigrants voting by the millions. Where's the evidence of that? That's just a wild claim that there is no. I mean, the Trump administration. You remember he's on TV showing you the whole board of all of those tariffs on Liberation Day. The Trump administration should come forward, slap a big ass notebook full of pages on the desk and say, here is a list of all the illegal immigrants that voted in the 2020 election. That's what he should be able to do. If you're suggesting that millions of undocumented illegal aliens voted on in the 2020 election, you should be able to show the ballots. You should be able to show some names, something. You should be able to show some arrests. You should be able to show camera footage of here's a guy walking into a ballot office in Boston. Here's this guy who got arrested. He has no legal right to be in the country. Here's footage of him walking into a polling place and casting a vote. Where is all of that information? If you're going to tell me millions of people voted that should not have voted, you should be able to present easily a ton of evidence. Where is there no evidence coming forward of that? Most polling places have cameras in them. You can't show me somebody that is clearly an illegal immigrant walking up to a booth and bending over and you see him scribbling something down he shouldn't be in there. You should be able to easily show that. So the idea that millions of people voted that shouldn't have, and you're providing no proof at all, is where we're talking about. Meanwhile, you have Republicans voting 5 and 6 times because they have residents in 5 or 6 different states. Tell it like it is. Once again, I'm going to say the same thing I told the folks on the right. If you're saying that Republicans have people voting 5 and 6 times, evidence. I'll believe any damn thing if you present decent evidence. But just throwing wild shit out there, dead people are voting. If no names, no arrests. This is very similar to the whole they're eating cats and dogs in Springfield. Okay, what did you do? Did you go there and do anything to protect people's pets? Any arrests been made? Anything? When you make claims like that and you do nothing as a follow-up, it makes your claim look like it was bullshit. It makes your claim look like it was a lie. Because if you know for certain what you're saying is a lie, you're not going to waste a whole bunch of time trying to prove it. You know there's nothing there. And that's what has happened with President Trump in regards to all of the claims he made in the 2020 election. He became president. He has control of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, has control of the Supreme Court. Most of the states he claimed cheating took place in are Republican states. You should be working day and night to prove that. Because as I said, historically, he's going to go down in history as somebody who tried to fix that election. You're not going to have MAGA 50 years from now saying, yeah, there were dead people voting with no proof. The folks who believe that, once they fade away, the next generation is going to have no proof at all. Just a guy said a bunch of shit and it culminated into nothing. So unless he proves that, he's going to go down in history as somebody who tried to steal that election. I may be ignorant, but didn't Biden pardon terrorists of September 11th? I don't know. Well, I thought all the terrorists of September 11th were killed in the plane crashes. What are you talking about? Not to mention, I don't know what the relevance that has for now. The total number of people in a district makes up the House of Representatives. You get representatives based on how many people are in an area. Those illegals are counted, giving more voting power. I don't know if Trump proved that whatsoever. Trump didn't say Trump said, I want you to give me 5 additional seats. He didn't say nothing about, let's make it fair. No, he just said, give me 5 seats. So what you're saying is not what Trump is talking about. What is the name there? Good evening.
It's MJ.
MJ. Not much at all. Good to have you back on. So Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world, says President Trump. More dangerous than Afghanistan. What say you?
I'm from Chicago originally, from the west side. I live in Georgia now. But Trump's a fucking idiot. So there's that. Like, again, you were making a point with Miss Mobetta. First off, shout out to my sister Miss Mobetta and everything. You were making a point with her that Trump is an excellent salesman.
Yes.
He's not. Because the true sign of an excellent salesman is to sell to the people who don't want to buy from you. He can't do that. He struggles eminently with selling to the people who don't buy his BS, lock, stock, and barrel from the first word. He's converted very few people who were legitimately on the left. He's converted very few of them over to his side.
I disagree with you.
Ain't moved the needle for a whole bunch of people who were already like capitalists, who were already inclined to align with that type of conservatism to begin with.
Yeah, I disagree with you. When you look at the fact that Trump not only swayed a bunch of Hispanic voters to vote for him, he actually won outright the male Hispanic vote. he actually did better with blacks, particularly black males. I mean, you say the goal of a salesman is to swing people over that normally wouldn't buy your product. He did that. He actually did
But
that.
here's the thing, though, Tim. You can look this up. A huge number, much larger than the Latino community wants to actually admit, of Latino people consider themselves white.
Okay.
They legitimately consider themselves white. There are people who come from Colombia who are very fair skinned, who would tell you up and down, no. I'm not Latino. I'm Colombian, because they want to make sure that the clarification is made to not make them a part of a marginalized group.
Yeah, but didn't they consider themselves white? Didn't they consider themselves white when they voted for Biden in 2020, and then all of a sudden they come and vote for Trump? So there's more to it than this.
Here's the thing, Tim. What happened in 2020 was a wild anomaly. It was a circumstance where, because we had the pandemic, we had so many individuals who were terrified about the leadership. We were able to convince a lot of people who are typically non-voters to come out and vote. Look at the numbers in Georgia.
Okay.
Look at how the Democratic push in central and southern Georgia was the highest that it had been in decades in that one election alone. And then those numbers trailed right back off in 2024. Because a lot of times when you're convincing people who aren't typical voters to come out and vote, if they don't immediately see change or see whatever they thought that they were voting for, they're out. They back on the couch.
To me, what you're indicating is that Kamala Harris was a shitty ass candidate. I mean, the fact that Biden got so many people to come out, and then all of a sudden here comes Kamala Harris. Trump's people showed up in 2024. It was the Kamala side that decided not to show up. Only that, to me, that illustrates she was not a good candidate.
That's and I'll tell you why that's I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's incorrect based upon a couple of different factors. The first factor being that first we have a heavily right-leaning media apparatus in America.
Really?
And I'll tell you this. Tim? What's the most watched news channel? What's the most watched news channel, Tim?
But it was the same most watched news channel when Biden won. You're talking about Fox.
Again, when Biden won, there were still bodies in freezer trucks at hospitals. People still weren't able to go see their family members who were sick in the hospital. All of that had changed by 2024. So people no longer see the imminent threat. So they're like, oh man, we back to business as usual. It don't matter. It's a different set of scenarios. It's just like if you look at voting patterns pre one of the world wars or one of our larger war offensives like Vietnam or Korea, and then you look at the voting efforts afterwards, you're going to see a big difference in people's drive and what people thought are important and what actually.
So you're saying had it not been for the pandemic, Trump would have won in 2020?
Quite possibly, because Americans are idiots. We love because here's the thing. I'm gonna tell it. This is the facts, though, Tim. The American people, more so than anything else, don't want to be bothered. You have to think about it. We had there are different reports and everything. Some reports say it was like low 80 millions. Some reports say that it was 90 million. Like the report from the University of Florida's election, think tank or whatever. They said it was like 90 million people who decided to not vote. Now,
I don't know. To me, your comment that they were idiots is kind of insulting. Maybe it's just that Trump. Maybe it's
purposefully insulting.
No, because I think maybe it's just that Trump was a better candidate. Listen, even though I didn't vote for Trump, let me just say it like this, because I don't believe that everybody who voted for Trump was an idiot or stupid or racist or any of that. Trump was offering. I say this all the time on the show. There were legitimate reasons to vote for President Trump because Trump was offering. He was offering good. What, you don't think no good reason to vote for him?
Here's the thing. You mentioned pro-life. Well, after he put on 3 justices that overturned Roe, then that's pretty much done. Unless your thought process is to go full Handmaid's Tale and you need a total and complete AB ban on every state, regardless of what the people want. Yeah, that's the circumstance. You look at the states that were actually allowed to put that measure on the ballot. That measure passed most of the states. It would have passed Florida if Florida didn't change their constitutional amendment segment to have 60% of the vote for a constitutional amendment to pass, because they had about almost 55% of the vote voted in favor of enshrining AB laws in Florida.
But you do realize the same folks that are adamantly and staunchly pro-life also believe that gender should be identified the way you are at birth as well. That's one reason to vote for Trump.
That's great, but it's also not a reason, because again, we can go to the testimony of the head of the NCAA, who said it's less than 10 athletes in the entirety of the NCAA on every division who are trans.
Yeah, but if you get a liberal in there, that's going to grow. If you get a liberal in there, if you get a liberal in there to not tide, that it was going to grow. You were going to have more and more transgender playing against girls in sports. The number was going to grow.
Again, until an issue is an issue, let's not worry about it. That's what the Trumpers always tell me.
Okay.
When I tell them that the big bullshit bill is going to cut all this funding to Medicaid and everything, and it's going to cause hospitals to close, they're like, hospitals ain't closing now, and so they're like, oh, so you have to wait for it to happen for you to care? Cool.
Yeah.
So once we got hundreds of trans athletes competing and winning every award and winning every trophy, then we can deal with it.
Well, it's a good pushback. But the fact is, when they told you got to wait till it starts happening to do something, they were being hypocritical. Nobody listen. If you think the other side is a threat to your politics, you don't wait until they actually do it.
But that's the thing, though. Again, the thing that I've always kicked back, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Gangsta Granny and everything, because she was 100% right. I talked to a lot of folks in the LGBT community and everything on TikTok, and they are consistently talking about how much conservative white teen men are in their DMs all the fucking time, Tim.
Wow, really?
I'm telling you, you need to, one of these days, you need to do a live where you just ask for...
Ain't nobody gonna answer that shit.
No, people from the community to come up and tell you about some of their experiences. People in the LGBT community to come up and tell you about some of their experiences, and even ask for some of them to like blur out the names and everything.
I'm on board with that. I'm on. That's some good old fashioned vintage Oprah, what she used to do in the beginning. I'm on board with that. I would gladly do that.
They crashed Grinder at the RNC, Tim. That's not an accident. It wasn't an accident.
So a bunch of homophobes liking homos.
Yeah, well, you have to think about it, Tim. Like we have a heteronormative society. Every movie, for the most part, and I ain't gonna say every, but the grand majority of movies feature a man pursuing a woman or a straight couple in a relationship. It wasn't like Home Alone was this big ass hit in the 80s and Kevin McAllister's parents were two dudes. You see what I'm saying? So our society has always said that being straight is right. Being straight is the predominant stance. So I have, and this is just me personally, I think that there's quite a lot of American men who, if they had the ability to come out of the closet and not be judged by other men, not be judged by their families, like their mothers, their fathers, uncles, and so forth, they would have came out. But they know that they can't. They still know that they can't, because as a society, we haven't done enough as men to be like, hey man, gay or straight, you know what I'm saying? If you're the homie, just don't be trying to hit on me.
And you think conservative men are like that? Whoa.
100%. Because this is the thing, Tim. Why do you hate a thing that doesn't matter to you? I'm straight. I live in Georgia and everything. I live outside of Atlanta. As you know, as everybody knows about Atlanta, there's a lot of gay folk here. There's a lot of the community here. I've had managers who are in the community. I've had coworkers in the community. I'm not scared of any of them people because I've talked to them. I know they just regular folks and everything who just like what they like. Just the same way as I might like them with a big chest and big booty and everything. They like them with...
There we go. Now we getting civilized.
Shoulders, you feel me?
Now we getting civilized.
That's how people function. And the thing about it is, a lot of the people who are homophobes, they don't know anybody who's gay. They just don't want for that concept to work its way into their mind because they're afraid what it might be. Tim, I always put it to him like this. If you're so straight, who convinced you to be straight? If somebody can convince you to be gay, if you can be influenced, if you can see gay couples and all of a sudden now you want to smoke some pole, what made you get that way? You feel me?
I've asked that question many times. I have asked that question on the program. If you don't believe people were born gay and it only comes from influence, then that means you're not born straight. You came from some influence too, and that is a great question. Wow, I got to move it on, but that's a hell of a proposal. I would do a show like that.
I wanted to touch real quick on why Democrats want that man in the box. Democrats want that man in the box because he's the only thing that tethers all of these weirdos. there is no red hat movement behind JD Vance. There is no red hat movement behind Don Jr. or Eric or Ivanka. It's just him. So if he's gone, then what's the movement? Because these people don't run around talking about, we love JD Vance and we gonna vote for JD Vance in 2028. No, they're saying Trump 2028.
So you believe without Trump, MAGA kind of goes away or is significantly weakened?
Absolutely. I'm not saying that the conservative, I think that a lot of them who claim to be conservatives are just going to go back to being garden variety Republicans and everything. But him being gone doesn't leave an outward open space for those who come up on platforms and call me the N-word 26 times just so that they can say it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't open up a platform for those who don't want trans people, because what they're really afraid of is you might meet a lady at a bar and everything. Y'all chatting it up. Y'all having a good time. She invites you back to her place and then hers is bigger than yours. That's what they're afraid of.
I'm afraid of that shit. You know, I'm afraid of that shit too. If she don't...
I ain't scared of it.
I am.
Like, oh.
No.
That type of party. No. I wish you all the best. I'm going to go head out.
No.
You have you a good day.
Ain't no win. No, listen, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Maybe this will make me sound like I got the phobia or something too, but in my opinion, if you still have male genitalia down there, you should be legally required to. If you know a dude is in the bar trying to holler at you and you presenting something that you know you're not, by law, you taking him to your house and then revealing that to him?
Here's the thing though, Tim. You got to factor in what I said earlier, that it's a lot of dudes on the DL, and it's a lot of dudes. Because here's the thing. There's literally only been one trans person who I was like, wait, what? She's trans? It was Laverne Cox. And that was because Laverne has had all of the surgeries that she has wanted to have. So you don't see a Adam's apple and everything. You see a little bit of stronger features and everything, but black women have stronger features in general.
I've seen plenty of them. I've seen plenty of them. As what is his name? Justin Timberlake once said, "The spotlight don't do you justice." If you're in a club, there's plenty of them that could pass. I gotta go though. I do gotta go.
Thanks for having me up, Tim.
Frightening, man. Frightening world. And he is right. I've came across a couple of them on the hub. You know, there are you click on the wrong shit on the hub, some of those sites. You can end up going to some shit you weren't expecting to see. And he is right. There are plenty of folks that are trans that can pass it. Listen, when we talk about trans, we tend to think of, putting a wig on my ugly ass. No, some of these folks are small and already feminine as a guy, and it don't take a lot. There are plenty of them out there that if you just, because this was the whole argument, I don't want them in the bathroom with my kid and all of that shit. If one don't walk in the kid with my bathroom, walk in the bathroom with my kid, you won't always know. They don't all look like dudes with a wig on. A lot of them look like an actual female. And of course, if you're out in public somewhere, you're not staring at a person expecting that. Because your daughter's in the bathroom, somebody walks in behind her, they go in there real quick. They're dressed like a woman. I mean, you're not sitting there like you security wanding them down or nothing like that. So you won't always know. And I'm going to submit to you that chances are there's a whole lot of trans people in this country already that are using the bathroom of their choice and doing it every day. If plenty of them look, because listen, there's some ugly ass bitches out here too. Let me make that clear. There's some bitches out here that look like men and they actually do have vaginas. So you don't always know. You don't always know. And if you start getting in the habit of saying, I'm going to physically stop somebody from going in the bathroom with my kid, you might actually end up putting your hands on one of them ugly ass bitches that was born an actual woman. And now here you are putting your hands on a woman and you about to get in trouble for that. So think about that when I don't want somebody going in the back. You don't always know. There's plenty of ways you remember. A lot of people think Michelle Obama's a man. So I understand that. A lot of people don't always know. Tim is fair and honest. I like that. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. I mean, Trump, dudes call him daddy. That's suspect. That is an interesting point. He says, dudes are calling Trump daddy. That's suspect gay. It is very unusual to see men calling another dude daddy. That would generally be referred to as suspect. I do got to agree with that. I ain't never called a grown man daddy before. And by the way, I don't understand why people do that. Look, I get that you favor Trump to run this country. You might think he's doing a good job or whatever. Is he doing that great of a job that you're willing to call him daddy? Like, what is he doing that's that fucking great? I mean, now I've seen somebody in the comments, because I gave Trump credit for the price of fuel coming down somewhat. But it ain't like it's 50 cents a gallon. I mean, the price of fuel between the last day Biden was in office and right now, it's in, you can hear it in coins. It ain't even $1 difference. I'm not going to call a man daddy because he's saving me 60 cents a gallon. And I don't think it's even 60 cents a gallon that we're saving right now. And now somebody in the comments suggested that under Trump, the price of groceries is down 30%. I'm not seeing that. I'm hearing it from Trump, but then again, Trump stated that gas is only $1.98 a gallon in some states too. So what Trump is saying is not always true, but I'm not seeing groceries 30% down since Trump took office. I'm not seeing that anywhere, but I got a lot of MAGA that's claiming it's happening. I think that to some degree, you don't like Kamala, you didn't like Biden so much that you're willing to try to make what Trump is saying turn out to be true. But wherever you think gas, or better yet, wherever you think the price of groceries is 30% lower, I would suggest go into a grocery store and ask them, were your groceries 30% higher this time last year? They're probably going to tell you no. Groceries are not down 30%. Groceries are rising, says Jay. Yes, but I'm under the impression. I was looking to buy a T-bone a couple of days ago at the grocery store. They wanted $31 for that T-bone. It was a big piece of meat, but it wasn't so big that I couldn't eat it. It was a T-bone. They wanted a raw T-bone. I'm not talking about I'm out at, Lone Star or Texas Roadhouse. This shit, I got to take it home and cook it. They wanted $31 for a T-bone steak. 30% lower? No, I don't see that. A lot of misinformation on the chat. You're going to get that because we got people from all sides of the aisle. Tap the screen. I'm going to ask you to do that. Get me on up to 50,000 in the likes category. Listen up. Just go with Trump, whatever he says. If other people are trying to say the opposite, to which they always do, go with him. You will be all right 99% of the time. That don't sound cult-like at all. Look, I'm not going to go with, I wouldn't even go with my own goddamn mother 99% of the time. I need to see some evidence, especially when you're making wild promises. When you're talking about you can end a war in 24 hours, I'm not going to just go with that. You need to prove that. And as we've seen, he hasn't been able to do that. So, yeah, don't just go with Trump. The person said, just go with Trump 99% of the time, you'll be all right. He's failed on meeting at least, because 99% of the time means he's meeting all of his campaign promises. I can name several campaign promises he's made already that he's failed on. So no, you're not going to be all right 99% of the time. I'd have to hear what your justification is for being all right. As I stated, I don't see any major change in my life economically. I'm not seeing any great changes for me. I hear that he's getting the immigrants out of the country. People favor that. You don't want immigrants getting entitlements and getting access to free programs. That's fine. But if you can tell me you've kicked out millions of immigrants so that they're no longer getting access to entitlement programs and taxing our resources, you can tell me that you got rid of Doge and saved billions of dollars, or better yet, you created Doge and got rid of federal programs, saving billions of dollars. And on top of all of that, my life ain't changing much, then I don't see shit out of it. If you cut out USAID, that's billions of dollars going overseas. You're no longer sending assistance to Ukraine. That's billions of dollars going to Ukraine you've saved. Throughout Doge, you've cut federal programs all over the world. That's more billions of dollars you've saved. And now you're getting rid of immigrants who you claim were also taxing our resources, saving billions. And out of all of that, I'm not seeing a penny of it coming to me. I don't see where my life's getting better out of that. You're bragging about how much money you're saving, and I'm still working 2 jobs and barely getting by. I don't see the benefit of it. Maybe you do. Some of you guys can let me know, but bragging that you saved a ton of money while sending none of it to me is not something for I'm going to stand up and applaud for. I know a lot of MAGA loved when Doge was doing all of this with USAID and not giving money. But at the end of the day, most folks who voted for Trump, their lives are not changing financially. You're not getting any of that money. So I don't see what's the celebration reason for it. Because we have a deficit to pay. How do you even know for certain that they're paying the deficit though? Under Trump's first term, the deficit went up. So deficit to me is kind of like one of them numbers out in space. We're not going to pay the deficit off under Trump. We know that it's too damn high. So at the end of the day, from Trump's first day in office to the last days in office, we're going to have a deficit. If he cuts it some, he cuts it some. But at the end of the day, we're going to still be in debt. So if you're saving billions of dollars and the American employee, the American citizen is not benefited, I don't see anything great to brag about. Not to mention all of the people you laid off that are now unemployed as well. All of the programs you've cut, like, Medicare, Medicaid, things like I don't see how it's that great. Why? You don't have a job, and we tapped into some of the healthcare programs you would have gotten. Unfortunately, you're not getting those now. But the deficit has been cut by 10%. I don't see how that's a plus. I'm sitting at home. I'm unemployed now because you fired me as a federal employee, and I'm supposed to stand up and apply. Well, but the deficit has been cut by 10%. I don't see that as a plus. Why are we talking about transgenders? Talk about some of the trafficking survivors that were interviewed today. You're talking about the Epstein. Well, I got to hear more of it. It'll probably be on an upcoming show. You're talking about the Epstein survivors. It'll probably be on an upcoming show. But I've said already, and I'll go to the box, tap the screen, get us up to 50,000. We can make that happen. Follow the program if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anybody on this program. We are MAGA friendly. But I've said before in regards to Epstein, nothing's going to come out of that. Not while Trump is in office. Maybe, after he's left office and passed on, like Deep Throat from the Nixon administration, it finally came out. Maybe in the future. But under Trump's administration, he obviously does not want the full information of that to come out, and he's going to get that. Trump tends to get what he wants. It's pretty clear he does not want all of that information regarding Epstein to come out. I mean, just from him simply saying, stop talking about Epstein, no list exists. I mean, he's performed so many twists and turns, it's pretty clear he doesn't want it to come out. And I feel fairly confident that if Trump doesn't release the Epstein files, MAGA's not going anywhere. I think it'll be like the 90-10 rule. MAGA will be, to the point where, look, 90% of the shit this guy did was great for America. I'm not going to throw him under the bus for this little Epstein stuff. He's done a lot, far more than the liberals ever would have done. I'm not going to throw him under the bus for this little Epstein stuff. That's the way I feel like it's going to come out. And I think Trump knows that. Middle of Fifth Avenue, remember? I think he knows that. So why release it? My support is not going anywhere. The people who are on the other side ain't going to vote for me no matter what. So I don't think you're going to get to the bottom of the Epstein saga or controversy under Trump. He doesn't want you to get it. He doesn't want you to have it. He doesn't want you to know everything, and his supporters are not going to go anywhere if he doesn't tell you. So that's where it's probably going to, like somebody said, stalling. That's what's going to happen. It'll be they'll keep stalling. They'll keep throwing other shit at you, whether it's the National Guard in Chicago or Baltimore or Venezuelan war or threatening Putin. I mean, there'll always be some new shit. What's going on in Gaza could easily be a big story if he wants to. He could easily make Ukraine a big story. If we decide to start giving the Ukrainians F-16s or more, then that's a big story all of a sudden. The Ukrainians are kicking ass in Russia. That's a big story. That's another week or two that'll take over the news. Same thing with Gaza. If we shut down Netanyahu and decide to actually give the people in Gaza something to eat, that's a big, there's so many big stories he can use to keep Epstein silenced, he can stall that shit for the rest of his term. And I think he will. Real quick in the comments. Oxtails is, damn, I wish I had some oxtails. Oxtails are 26 bucks. Eggs are $9 a dozen at Kroger, and milk is $6 a gallon. Not in my neck of the woods. I just bought milk the other day. It ain't $6. No. Where do you live in when you pay $6 for a gallon of milk and $9 for a dozen of eggs? No. Not right now. That's not that. Now, oxtails, I don't know. I would love to get some oxtails. I ain't had no oxtails in a while, but the rest of that stuff is way overpriced you're talking about. Politics is a science not for bigot, literate, poorly educated MAGA. You think MAGA is bigoted, illiterate, poorly educated? I'll leave it at that. Let me go back to the box. So we at 50,000. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Democrats are on Epstein list. That's a fact. Probably so. Probably so. But I bet you there's some Republicans on that list too. And I always say this. When it comes to Trump, in regards to Epstein, what did they say? It looks like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Trump has made so many. Remember the guy just talked about, you call a man daddy, that's, you know, that sounds like a gay suspect comment. Trump has made a whole lot of pedo suspect comments. I'm not saying the guy has ever abused a child whatsoever, but he has said a whole lot of comments that if you hanging around the locker room with a guy that's talking, dude, what the fuck you talking about? I mean, he's made them kind of comments. What the fuck I'll give you a good example. This is kind of graphic a little bit, but this is a free speech program, and this audience can handle it. I was, a young man. I was in Job Corps for a short period of time, and we're all dudes, and we actually was lifting weights, and we were indeed in a locker room conversation type talk. We were just talking about, different chicks and shit like that we done been through. And this dude, because one dude was talking about, something to the nature of happy endings. You know what that's talking about. And I like when a chick do such a, and this other dude said, no, it's better when another ninja do it to you. Just, one of them record scratching lights on at the party over time. I mean, he literally said, no, I like it when another ninja do that. I mean, just everybody froze. Like, what? So to me, I think Trump has made comments like that. That, you could be sitting here having locker room talk, and the comment he makes everybody look at him like, what the fuck? I mean, you're telling 10-year-olds you would be dating them in 10 years. You're talking about you don't know if your daughter's tits are going to turn out right, and she's like 1 year of age. You're talking about you and your daughter have sex in common. I mean, he said a whole bunch of really wild things that, he referred to his daughter as a hot piece of ass. Like, who talks like that? So I don't, I'm not here to try to convict Trump of anything, but I will say that he says some pretty wild statements that most men do not say. Now, to grab them by the yeah, men talk like that sometimes, even though that's also admitting a crime too. But I can see more of that than looking at a 10-year-old girl and saying in 10 years I'll be dating her, or, looking at your own daughter and saying, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd be dating her. Men don't talk like that. Most men do not talk like that. He said some shit on Howard Stern. Yeah, he referred to his daughter as a hot piece of ass on Howard Stern. He said some pretty wild things that he just, like I said, if a bunch of dudes are hanging around trading stories, that would literally be like a record scratch, lights on, party over time. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? That ain't cool. I mean, it's some of them kind of statements. Tim, when have you said something like grabbed him by the... no, I don't say it like that. No, I mean, listen, you can talk about, me and her was, I'm trying to holler at her, whatever. We on the couch and shit like that. And we don't came home and, we a little tipsy or whatever. And I kind of grab her and, and all that. And the shit kind of kicked off. But he made it sound like you just walking up to a stranger and just grabbing her under the dress or something like that. I ain't never said nothing like that. Because like I stated, that's a crime. You're kind of admitting to fucking crimes. Shout out to E.G. Carroll. No, you don't sit there and confess to a crime like that. Because he said, when you're a celebrity, women will just let you do whatever, kiss them, grab them. I mean, so you're talking about strangers. You ain't talking about somebody you tried to holler at the club and you don't took them back to the car or you don't took them back to the crib. This is just some stranger that likes you because you're a celebrity. You just grabbing that shit. That's a crime. So, no, most dudes don't talk about that. Does Chicago need help or is it safe? I think Chicago, and I'll go to the box after this and tap the screen, give me up to 55. You guys got to 50,000. I'll take the call after this. But Chicago does need help in terms of lowering crime. But as I've mentioned on the program before, Chicago is not even in the top 10 of most violent cities. So there's a bunch of other cities in America that need help too that the Trump administration is not even discussing. It would be one thing if he said something like, look, Chicago, we're going to start here for this reason or that reason, and then we're going to go to Memphis, or then we're going to go to St. Louis. You don't even, if you are in a red state, you don't even mention your cities, no matter how violent they are. They just don't even get mentioned at all. So it does make it appear as if the goal is not lowering crime. It ain't got nothing to do with lowering crime. As the governor of Illinois said, Trump is going to find any emergency he can to send a guard here. That's what he said. He said, even if you throw a sandwich in a member of ISIS face, he is going to find any emergency he can create to send a guard here. And that's what it appears to be, is that he has just got tunnel vision on fucking with Chicago. I mean, you could probably have a serious mass murder go on in Memphis or St. Louis, and he would still focus on Chicago. He just is gung-ho about going to Chicago. It ain't that Chicago absolutely needs help right now, and all these other cities don't. It's just that he has his mind focused on going into Chicago. It is what it is. Arsha Fine, good evening. Welcome to the program. Why did Joe Biden grape his daughter?
Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi.
Well, okay. Well,
Yes.
what brought the excitement out? What happened?
Well, I was shocked that you
You got a bad signal, Arsha. Yeah, Arsha, I'll drop you and try to bring you up in a little bit. Your signal's so bad, you just went dead. Did you see how quick he pivoted when they asked him about the school pew-pews? Well, I've already made the point that, and it sounds insensitive. I know my beloved MAGA don't like hearing this, but I don't believe the Republican Party cares about the children getting pew-pewed in schools. And I know a lot of them, you full of shit, get the fuck out of here. Who the hell wouldn't care about kids? I'm just simply saying the Democrats believe the solution to children losing their lives in school is some sort of gun laws. Now, the right believes that is bullshit. They believe gun laws are ineffective. We don't have any proof either way, so I'll leave it at that. Maybe gun laws are ineffective. But you see what the Democrats are trying to do to stop the problem. They're trying to pass gun laws. Effective or not, they are trying to pass tough gun laws. The right, on the other hand, suggests that the problem is not toughening the gun laws. The guns don't kill people. People kill people. They're saying it's mental illness. However, unlike the Democrat Party, who is trying to do something about what they think is the problem, do you see any effort of any significance to address mental health in right-wing areas? When you go to a right-wing state that has a right-wing city, do you see any additional assistance toward getting mental health in right-wing areas than left? So that's where I come to the conclusion that the right doesn't care about this, because you're going around telling everybody that the problem is mental health, but then you're doing nothing to address mental health. If you truly believe that children are being murdered in schools and mental health is the problem, then you should be able to get mental health treatment in right-wing areas for free. It should be free. I mean, or at the very least, super inexpensive. And the government should be funding it or subsidizing it. They're not doing that. They're not doing that at all. So when you suggest that the problem is mental health and you're doing nothing to address mental health, how can you make a decent argument that you actually care about this stuff? For the most part, the right is giving you thoughts and prayers, and it ends there. It ends at thoughts and prayers. You believe the problem is mental health, but then when people try to get some form of universal health care, you're against it. That's what you're going to need if you want to address mental health. You need to make it so that if a person is poor or broke and they want to get some mental health treatment, it's free. And it's not in right-wing areas. There is no more access to mental health in right-wing areas than it is in the left. But they're claiming that's the problem. So Until I see anything different on that, I'm going to suggest that the right doesn't care about it. They're naming the problem what they think it is and doing nothing about that problem. Show me how they appear to care. Tim, what's your prediction for guns seized in Chicago when the army shows up? I don't know if they look. I don't know if that's going to end up happening. If guns, you say that the army's going to show up and they're going to seize guns in Chicago. I don't have any evidence that Trump is going to do that. Listen, I can make predictions, but I don't want to go off the deep end. I don't have any evidence that Trump is going to send the army into Chicago and seize people's guns. If you're okay with black violence, if you're okay with black violence in Chicago, then you can speak on anything. Well, here's what I don't get. If black on black crime is an issue, why is it only an issue in Chicago or liberal cities and Republican states? Remember, it's the right that is saying the liberals don't care about crime. The liberals want to allow crime to continue. But yet, when it comes to violent cities that have African Americans in the city that happen to be in Republican states, they're not saying anything about it at all. The right is leading us to believe that they're concerned with black on black crime only when it happens in a liberal state. As long as you're in a Republican state, they don't seem to care about black on black crime. So I don't see how what they're doing is any less hypocritical than what they're claiming the Democrats are doing. You keep talking about the Democrats don't care about crime, but many of the people that are in some of the most violent states are talking about Chicago. Nobody in Tennessee, considering that they have Memphis and Nashville that rank higher in terms of violent cities than Chicago, nobody in Tennessee should be talking about Chicago. You got more problems right here at home. If you live in Missouri, you should be focused on St. Louis. Why the hell are you talking about a city that's hundreds of miles away when you got more problems right here at home? Same thing with Louisiana. Same thing with Ohio. You got more problems right here at home. Why are you talking about Chicago? You don't live there. It's not in your state. So why are you sending your National Guard hundreds of miles away to deal with something in a different area when you got problems right here at home? I've never heard them answer that. The city of Chicago isn't a state, dumbass. Well, if I said state, it was an accident. Your political status is irrelevant. Anyone asking for help needs to accept it. Well, Chicago is not asking for help, though. Chicago, both the governor of Chicago was on television today and the mayor making it clear we do not want the National Guard here. They both said it. The mayor of the city of Chicago stated that we would prefer you help us out with all of the guns coming into our city. Now, the right is not going to do that, but as I stated, the governor of Illinois and the mayor of the city have made it clear they don't want the National Guard there. I'll tell you this. Why not start out? First, two things. First of all, I do believe if you're going to be focused on solving crime or reducing crime, start out in the most violent places first. That's the first thing. I don't know why you're jumping down the list of Chicago when there's, almost, or at least about a dozen cities, according to the FBI, that are more violent. Why are you skipping over those cities to get to Chicago? And then he's talking about going to Baltimore next. Baltimore is not number 2 either. Why are you skipping all over the damn list? Which, to me, makes you focus on the credibility of what he is designating as an emergency. If you believe crime is an emergency, just like with the illegal immigrant problem, you don't want people skipping the list, right? You don't want illegal skipping the list over legal people. Why are you skipping over the list to get to Chicago or to get to Baltimore or to get to LA? None of those cities are in the top. Well, I think Baltimore might be in the top 5, but LA and New York and Chicago are not even in the top 5. Why are you skipping over all these other more violent cities to get here? It makes it look like you got something. It's something about this city that you got a hard on for. Why are you skipping over the other violent cities? Also, I would also say, if you got a violent city in a Republican state that is more violent than Chicago and smaller than Chicago, why wouldn't you not start there? I mean, St. Louis is significantly smaller geographically and population-wise than Chicago. Okay, so the state has a Republican mayor, or governor rather. Missouri has a Republican governor, so he's going to likely be more in sync with you. So you're not going to meet all the legal resistance that you would from Governor Pritzker of Illinois. So why not start places where you would have less resistance, smaller geographical area, you can fix this problem quicker, and then go down. Why would you go to the place with the most resistance that don't want you there, and it's not even the most violent city on the list first? So some of this don't make sense. Some of it does not make sense. Tim, did you think Trump's announcement was about his health? I thought there could be a point. I thought there certainly could be a possibility of that. Yeah, I did think that. Continuing on, going back to the box, Arsha, I don't know what. Oh, AJ, good evening.
Good evening.
What's up? Good to have you on. What am I getting wrong? I know you got a few things to say. Talk to me.
Oh, I mean, no. I mean, you're like a broken clock. You're right twice a day.
Okay.
And you're not totally right on this issue.
Give me the wrong parts first. I want to hear the wrong stuff.
I'm just trying to get the conflating the job of the governor versus the job of a mayor.
Okay.
And so the main question or the main point is a governor cannot tell a mayor what to do in their municipality. So if I am a Democrat, and this happens in New York City where I'm from all the time, even if they're two Democrats, even if both the governor and the mayor are Democrats, they always butt heads. So if the governor cannot tell the mayor what to do with their jurisdiction, right? So when you say the red governor, blah, 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 to the blue cities, the only thing the governor can actually do, which is actually a charge to any governor that has cities in their states that are violent, is they can deploy the National Guard to those cities. That's the only really thing they can do.
So wait.
But
So you're saying
they can't influence gun legislation or who they appoint to police chief and all that stuff. They have no control over that.
So you're saying that the red governor of Tennessee could actually deploy the National Guard to the violent city of Memphis?
Yeah, and I told you about my experience in Memphis, right? I'll never go back there. Okay. But
okay, and that's fair enough. But I'm going to ask the obvious question: why would Tennessee send their National Guard hundreds of miles away to D.C. when they got a city in their state that's more violent than D.C. itself?
Oh, it's a good question. For me, because I didn't say it was a bad question. It's a great question. If you got Memphis and Nashville and what was it, Knoxville? I think that's Knoxville.
I don't know if Knoxville is more violent than D.C., but Nashville and Memphis definitely are.
I don't care how they rank. I just mean if you have a violent city, you have a violent city. I don't give a damn if it's 1 or 30. Okay. It shouldn't be on the list. That's the point. And so if you're on the list and you're deploying your troops to another state, then yeah, you should probably look at your own house before you start sending people elsewhere.
That's okay. So we actually agree on that because Louisiana with New Orleans and Baton Rouge also sent National Guard troops to D.C., which is about 1,000 miles away. I don't know why when they got two more violent cities. Also, Ohio sent troops to Washington, D.C. when they got Cleveland and Toledo that's more violent. So this is why I'm saying people are saying the Democrats don't care about crime. No, it's like we care about crime, but something don't look right about this because you don't hear the right talking about Memphis, Baton Rouge, or Louisiana, or any of these violent cities. They're only talking about violent cities that are in Democrat states. As long as your violent city is in a Republican state, they're not going to say anything about it.
No. Well, I said enough. I said a lot about Memphis.
You did, but Trump is not.
So I don't give a damn about Republican, Democrat. I just want to be safe.
Okay.
So, and so when you go to when I went to Memphis and I'm like, what the hell is this war zone? And I'm good and I won't be back.
Memphis is violent. Memphis is far more violent than Chicago on that list. That's what I'm saying. You don't even hear Trump mention Memphis or St. Louis. Them cities are much more violent per capita than Chicago. They don't even mention it.
Well, you got to follow the money. So, Illinois is the 5th largest economy in the United States.
Okay.
In the state's ranking, it's the 5th largest.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. So that could be a factor. So I don't know, but the main point is always follow the money. So Chicago probably has more value than any of these other cities, probably has more tourism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make those places safer. And I'm not saying these other cities don't have tourists because Memphis has Graceland, I think. And so, and I don't know how many people go to Graceland. I've never been on. I'll probably never will. But I'm just like, you gotta just follow the money. Usually,
It could be. Now that makes sense. It could be following the money, but then that makes it clear that it's not just about crime. Then I mean, you're using crime as an excuse when it's something, as you say, follow the money. You're not. If you were truly just focused on making people safe, you would go to where the people are most in danger.
But yeah, it's about making it safer, but it's also you want to make it a safer place so more people will actually spend their money there. So if people aren't going or people are reluctant, then that's not good. That's not good for the economy. Chicago is damn near bankruptcy right now. Chicago has a lot of financial problems right now. A lot of mismanagement of their budgets, and so they have a lot of things to figure out in addition to the violence situation. So it's not just about the violence. It's also about their money, and it's also about the mismanagement of their funds. And I just need the people of Chicago to make a better decision next time.
Well, I would tell you this in regards to money and tourism and things like that. If, as a president, you are trying to make sure people come to Chicago and spend money as a tourist, you wouldn't spend several years telling the world that Chicago is a shithole and the worst country on the planet. I mean, what you're doing is anti-tourist. Now, even if you're trying to fight to lower crime, you would do that on the low key. You wouldn't go out and announce this is the worst city in the world. I mean, what you're doing is anti-tourist.
Look, I don't know what perfection y'all want out of this man, but
the worst city. Come on now, AJ. Worst city in the world? You really think Chicago is the worst city in the world? Most dangerous city in the world is what he said.
Well, the 2 times I've been to Chicago, I couldn't really enjoy it because I was working. But I don't care. I don't remember.
If it was the most dangerous city in the world, I think you'd remember. You think there's some possibility that might be true? Most dangerous city in the world?
I'm not in the parts that are dangerous. I wasn't in the part that was dangerous, so I don't know. But when I do see people on this app from Chicago saying, bring the National Guard here, it is terrible. When I saw this weekend, literally, I don't know what sport he was a ref for. I think it was baseball, and all the kids and him had to duck down because they started popping off. Yeah, when stuff like that is going down and people are saying, look, do something about this, and and you want to talk about illegal guns, how does that happen when you have the strictest gun laws in the country?
Because that's an easy one. The only way gun laws would ever have any effect, it had to be federal. If you got gun laws in an area that's not quarantined, meaning I can leave your area and come back and nobody's going to search me, then your gun laws are never going to work. Chicago has gun laws, but you can leave Chicago, go to a gun-friendly state, and come back to Chicago without anybody searching you. So the gun law is ineffective.
So you think if there's a federal law that criminals are suddenly going to pay attention and follow the law?
I think that every country on the planet that has implemented gun laws, and there's very few people that have guns, they did it at the federal level. If you want to remove guns from America or limit the guns, because there's so many here.
That's not going to happen. You're not going to remove guns from America. That's never going to happen.
Well,
and the fact that you have most people who own guns aren't violent, crazy people. It's a small minority of people that are hurting enough people for it to be a problem. But the thing is, criminals are not going to follow laws. So these laws are not for criminals. These laws are for me and you.
Now, well, when you say most people that own guns are not violent, it's a small minority. Well, with all due respect, Chicago has 2.7 million people. 54 getting shot and 7 dead makes it clear it's a very small minority of people. I mean, losing 7 people in a country in a city that has 2.7 million, it ain't like there's bodies laying all over the place.
Right. Would that be your logic if one of those 50 plus people that were shot was you knew them or loved them?
You could shoot you could shoot my own damn mother. I'm not gonna walk around and say this is the most dangerous city in the world. I mean, I'm not gonna make some kind of wild statement like that.
Well, you think differently.
Yeah. I mean, listen, even if it happened to me specifically, and I have been robbed in Chicago at gunpoint, I'm not going to say the city is the most violent in the damn world. I mean, that's crazy. There's got to be some numbers to go with that, not just my one experience, my one-off experience.
Well, I mean, fine. Let's just back off. Let the people keep knocking each other off. Who cares? And then when they finally get to you and your numbers up, no slow singing and flower bringing. Deal?
2.7 million, I'll be dead before they get to me.
I mean, 2.7 million, 3, I don't care.
Like, I mean, I got relatives. I
want no flower bringing.
Well, I'm just telling you, I got relatives in Chicago that were born there, and they're in their 80s now. It hasn't happened to them yet. Shit, when is it going to happen? Everybody in Chicago is not being murdered or killed. It ain't happening to most people.
Did I say that?
You said when they get around to me. That's what you just said when they you made it sound like it's inevitable it's going to happen.
Okay, so you've been robbed in Chicago, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess you were cool with that. Made you feel good.
You can get robbed any damn way.
You felt blacker after you got robbed?
No, I'm not Trump. I don't have a mugshot. He's the one that indicated that having a mugshot should make him more, some kind of way more connected with the black community. No, I don't have a mugshot. So
all right. What's the next thing you're gonna jump to out of nowhere?
Well, the next thing I want to jump to out of nowhere, this one should be one you'll really like. Why are people wishing for this man to perish?
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
Well, that's pathetic. That's just pathetic. Like, there was never a day in my life where I woke up and was like, oh, I hope Joe Biden dies today. Like, what the fuck? Why would I even say that? Why would I even think that? First of all, that requires a personal investment in Joe Biden, and I don't have one. So Joe Biden's a politician. He was president of the United States. Whoop-de-fucking-do. There was never a day where I wanted to off him. There were days where he made stupid decisions, or he said something dumb, or he shitted on himself or something. But other than that, I'm like, who wishes death on people? That's just stupid.
Well, when you see a person,
we've gotten to the point. Even when you have this little bitch, the governor of Minnesota, who literally just lost 2 lawmakers to gun violence, and their spouses sitting up here making passive threats to the president.
Well, when you're making fun of an assassination attempt on Nancy Pelosi's husband, you do realize stuff like that is going to piss people off, right?
I'm sorry, did you watch that footage?
I didn't see nothing funny in it to make a joke about.
No, I didn't say it was funny, but it was.
Well, he made a joke about it. He made jokes about it.
You couldn't say it was odd that the police are standing there and you don't run towards them.
I mean, Trump got shot and got up and said, fight, 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 exposing himself to the sniper. Sometimes people do dumb shit.
Well, actually, no, because if you watch the whole footage, by the time he stood up, they had said it was clear. They had said he was neutralized. They already said that. If you watch the whole thing go down and heard all the radio footage, yeah, he was. They already took him out by the time Trump stood up.
I think when Trump stood up, Trump was not standing up thinking, "Oh, it's clear I can do that now." Trump was just being Trump. I don't think he did that based on any radio chatter.
What Trump wanted to do, because he was down there for so long and everybody thought he was dead, everyone was like, he just wanted to let everybody know.
No,
I'm all right.
You don't know. You don't know if there's a second shooter. You don't stand up and expose yourself to the crowd. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's not his job. Well, if you don't have fat, short Secret Service agents protecting you, they know that's their job.
I get shot though.
And then when you watch that whole thing go down, it was totally avoidable.
What do you mean?
Because when the asshole was climbing up the thing, you had people literally saying, "There's a dude climbing. Yeah. Get him! They're telling the police, and everybody just. So we literally gonna watch this. Okay.
How do you speaking of these attempts on lives and things that are avoidable? How do you feel about him rushing to get rid of some of his adversaries' Secret Service protection, like Kamala Harris earlier this week, Ambassador Bolton. I think he did Hunter Biden real quick. I mean, how do you feel about him rushing to do that so fast?
Well, Kamala's Secret Service was supposed to be up July.
Right. So why would he get rid of?
Supposed to be up in July, and then Biden signed. I forgot the word.
Extension. He gave her an extension. So why would he get rid of that?
But it was on the down low. I don't know why he got rid of that. That's his choice. That's his decision to make. But were you bitching when they removed everything from him except his Secret Service because you're guaranteed that for life as president? So were you bitching when it happened the other way?
What do you mean they removed everything? What else did they remove from him?
The security clearances, everything was removed. So what are we talking about? So
well,
he was stripped, and the only reason why they didn't strip the Secret Service because that's guaranteed by law for life.
Yeah,
so
but when you're telling people that the election was stolen, I mean, what Trump was doing in the offseason is why. I mean, Biden ain't doing shit. Kamala Harris ain't. I mean, Trump was actively trying to troll and doing everything he could.
Election stolen when you literally right now actively in year of our Lord 2025 have liberals and Democrats on this very app talking about the 2024 election was stolen. So y'all can hush the fuck up.
I haven't heard that. What I haven't heard. You telling me?
Heard that.
You telling me Biden himself is going around saying he won by a landslide, or Kamala Harris is saying she won by a landslide?
First of all, Biden don't even know where he is this week. So let's just.
What about Kamala Harris? Is Kamala saying she won in 2024?
No, but Hillary's still saying she won in 2016. Were y'all bitching about that? Hillary y'all was like, yeah, she was president.
I didn't say that. Hillary Clinton did not go to the Capitol building trying to stop the election or the inauguration. Hillary Clinton didn't do that.
Oh Lord!
And by the way, I would tell you, if Trump does something wrong, rather pointing to a liberal that did it too is not a defense for Trump. You know, he did it too is not a defense. And that's kind of what often happens with Trump. You point out something he did. Well, such and such did it too. You never hear people.
Wait a minute. You're the motherfucking king of that. What are you talking about?
I'm the king of it. How so?
Yes, I would literally point out something. You went, well.
I don't know what you're talking about. They don't like you for some reason. I don't know what you're talking about.
You ain't gonna call out something you do on the regular.
I don't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. But
oh my God.
I'm just going to say with Trump, if it's one thing you never hear when you're pointing out something that Trump did wrong, one thing you never hear from Trump supporters is he didn't do that. It's always somebody else did it to you. Never hear them say, no, he didn't do that.
Did I say he didn't do that?
No, they never say it. But that's the answer you should be saying. If we're pointing out something that's corrupt.
So I should deny something that I saw with my own eyes. Okay, cool. It didn't happen.
No, it shouldn't. No, the problem is you shouldn't have saw it with your own eyes because he shouldn't have done it.
Never happened. Nope, it never happened, remember? Never happened.
That's
what you're talking about.
The point I'm making is, no matter what you
anything on January 6th, what happened? I don't know.
That's the point I'm making is that no matter what you accuse Trump of, he's never actually innocent of what you're accusing him of. You say, well, somebody else did the same thing. Like, when do we get to the point where the guy who promised to drain the swamp and expose corruption can say, I'm not corrupt and I didn't do that? We never get to that. It's always, well, such and such did it too.
Mm-hmm. Well, the swamp is being drained.
Give me some names.
And y'all crying right now.
Give me some names. Give me some swamp creatures that got drained.
We can start at the Federal Reserve because, you know, y'all blacks are crying right now because homegirl got relieved of her duties. But I thought no one was above the law. Oh, when they're black, they're you know, let them get away with it.
Well, when they're black, when they're black,
let them get away with a little mortgage fraud. It ain't nothing. It's just a little mortgage fraud. Stop it.
Well, when they're black, they're DEI. I mean, that's the way it's looking to me.
Well, no. Not all blacks are DEI. The ones y'all like are DEI because y'all can control them. That's why.
Well, the problem is
you will never show me one black Democrat that can do it without having to consult the system, and I'll shut up.
What do you mean consult the system?
That does not play within that system. Even your homeboy at Mayor Chicago, he is part of the system.
I think when it comes
if he was about it, he would be working with that governor to actually ensure the safety of the people of Chicago. But instead, he's up there protesting and using his Marxist talking points, trying to get those people riled up so they can conflict, so they can clash with the National Guard.
Well, let me make something clear. Even if Trump could come in and reduce crime in Chicago and things like that, nobody is going to side with him on the Democrat side because of how he does it. I mean, he would come in and reduce crime in Chicago and go on TV and say, these people weren't shit until I came here. You had some weak ass politicians.
So you gonna sit here in good faith? You gonna sit here on your live in good faith and say
Yes.
that Brandon Johnson is doing a good job.
No, I'm going to say it doesn't matter. Trump's going to come in.
Oh, it does matter if you do. Why, that matters.
So you
want Brandon Johnson to do a good job, but he's not.
Let me say this again so you can hear it better. Nobody is going to work with you when you're insulting them the entire time. You're not. If you are a mayor, hold on. If you are the mayor, hold on.
You ever worked?
I didn't get the point across. Let me finish my point first.
Emotionalism.
Let me finish the point, and then we can.
Emotionalism. You want people to stroke it nice and slow, and that's just not how it's gonna work.
Okay, now let me get the point across. I don't care. Let me know when you're ready. It doesn't matter what you are doing for someone. If you're going to come in and criticize them and insult them the entire time, you go to your job and insult the hell out of I don't care how productive you are. Go to your job and make jokes and insults about your boss to all other coworkers. See how long it keeps you on. The fact that you're productive is not going to excuse that. I mean, I don't care if Trump is getting the damn job done in Chicago. People ain't going to just sit there. These are folks who worked hard to get where they are. Even if they're bad politicians, they're not going to let him just do that.
Did he work hard?
It doesn't take away from what I just said. Nobody's going to sit there and let you talk all kinds of awful shit about them and then work with you.
That's emotionalism.
Well, call it what you want. Trump is emotional too. I mean, he's not going to do that.
But Trump took that emotion and turned it into a re-election. So what Brandon Johnson gonna do after this?
I think Governor Pritzker and the mayor of Chicago will do just fine. I don't know where they're gonna go, but they'll do fine.
I don't respect. I have my issues with fat people. So the fact that he's a fat governor is a little irritating to me. But whatever, that's another conversation.
You do realize Trump is fat, right?
He's old.
Are you making excuses for being fat?
Yeah, he old and fat.
Biden ain't fat.
Biden has cancer.
Biden ain't never been fat.
Biden has cancer, but he's always been racist. But y'all love him.
So now you don't like fat people. I point out Trump is fat. You make all kinds of excuses for why it's okay now.
No, I said he's old and fat. Did I not say that?
Was he young and skinny?
Yes, he was.
So being old is suddenly an excuse now, huh?
He was young and svelte.
He's fat. Okay, look, if you got a problem with fat people, it don't change after a certain age.
Yeah, it's sloppy fat. Trump's not sloppy fat.
You ain't seen him naked.
I don't want to either.
Go ask Stormy. According to Stormy Daniels, he don't look too hot.
Oh Lord.
He makes for good South Park material.
That's a problem. That's a problem. The hoses don't know how to shut up no more.
Oh my God. That's the problem. He's a married man. He shouldn't have a hose.
Oh please, like he the only married man getting polished. All of a sudden, he's the only married man. There's a married man right now as we speak getting polished.
If you're gonna be going around criticizing people from every little damn thing they do, no, you shouldn't be getting polished. I mean, if you're gonna, what did it say, glass house throwing stones? Glass house throwing stones. You can't you doing stuff wrong, but you're going around pointing everybody else out.
Oh, you perfect? You perfect?
I don't go around insulting people like Trump does.
You insult me all the time.
I don't insult your ass. What have I said to insult you? I don't insult any of my guests. I enjoy talking to my guests. I don't insult none of y'all. And I take a lot of insults from y'all.
Not when I'm a guest in here, but when you go into our space, you get a little reckless.
Oh my God, you be out there calling people bitches and shit. Of course you gonna get insulted. You awful to your guests. You're awful to your guests. Of course. Shit. I gotta move it on, H. It's always a pleasure though. But you awful to your guests. They gonna insult you. You be earning that shit.
No, Jesus. All right, bro.
Holla, good talk, man. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. What does that say? Line back. 2,459 Americans lost their lives in the Afghanistan war. 500 to 600 Americans a year lose their lives to homicide in Chicago. Most dangerous city in the world? No. And that is true. I don't know. Look, what Trump said in regards to Chicago being the most dangerous city in the world, he full of shit. to me, it falls under the category of if you say something enough, people tend to believe it. And the right has been focusing on the city of Chicago so much that they believe it's far more violent than any other city in the country. And it's just not. I mean, not to mention, there's some pretty violent places in Brazil. I mean, obviously, Kyiv, Ukraine ain't somewhere you want to be. You want to hang out in Gaza City? Chicago, the most I mean, it's insane. That's not even remotely true. Not even, I mean, it's not even, you got some cities where people are losing, 200-300 people a day there. I mean, it's insane to point to one of your own cities and say it's the most violent city in the country, in the world. He said in the world, Chicago is the most dangerous city in the world. There's probably 1,000 cities around the world that are more violent than Chicago. It's just that's just insane to say something like that. And then people are, well, why do everybody hate him? Why don't the Democrats like him? When you say something that awful about a U.S. city, I don't know how that doesn't enter the realm of being unpatriotic. I mean, these are Americans you're talking about. To just make up a flat out lie like that's completely uncomparable. I mean, if you Google or whatever search engine you use, the top 100 most dangerous cities in the world, Chicago probably ain't even on that list. And it ain't nowhere near number one. The top most dangerous cities in the world, Chicago is not going to be anywhere near that. No matter what metric you go by, rapes, murders, assaults, carjackings, robberies, there is no metric where Chicago is going to rank number one. I don't think there's any metric where Chicago is going to rank number 5 or 10. For him to say it's the worst city, I mean, just an awful, awful thing to say about a city that is loaded with fellow Americans. And then he'll be acting shocked that this city doesn't vote for him in the next, well, he ain't running for another election, but he'll be shocked that that city votes Democrat. Stuff like that. Somebody says he's racist. I'm just simply saying what he's saying is flat out false. St. Louis up there as being that. Yeah, St. Louis is a more dangerous city than Chicago. Memphis, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Little Rock, Arkansas. What other cities? I don't know. I don't think Atlanta's more violent than Chicago. Cleveland is. I mean, there's a bunch of cities. Whatever your search engine, you don't have to go to Google if you don't like Google. You don't have to use Bing or Yahoo. Whatever search engine you use, just go and type in most dangerous cities in America, most dangerous cities in the world, and you'll see Chicago's. There's no reason for Chicago to be getting the spotlight that Trump is giving it. There's no excuse for why you're ignoring all of those other cities that are ahead of Chicago. Somebody said Colima, Mexico is number one. All right. Like I said, I know if you put in most dangerous cities in the world, Chicago ain't going to be nowhere near the top of that list. You're going to be way down on that list before you encounter Chicago. Memphis, Tennessee is the highest crime and gun violence, somebody says. Yeah. All democratically run also. Yeah. But the problem is they're in Republican states. So the Republican governor means there's no National Guard going to come there. And I will say this about the cities being democratically run. Why all of a sudden, okay, if you're in a Democrat city that's violent and the governor is Republican, the right says nothing about it. Or the right will say, well, it's a Democrat city, the governor is not a Democrat, the governor has nothing to do with it. But we're blaming Gavin Newsom, who happens to be a governor, for what's going on in LA and San Francisco. We're blaming Governor Pritzker for what's going on in Chicago. All of a sudden, when the governor turns blue, suddenly governors are responsible for what happens in their violent cities. But when the governor's red, he gets a pass. This whole thing is fucking political. That's why people have problems with it. It ain't just about bringing down crime. He's doing it based on an agenda. That's why people are pushing back. People can see what he's doing. He ain't doing it right. He's doing it based on an agenda. Why they can just use squad team and hire more police duty. And that's the point. I'll go back to the box, but that's the point, is that if you really wanted to bring down crime, you would work with the mayor in the violent city and ask them, can we allocate more federal funding to give you more police officers on your street? Now, Chicago would take that. Baltimore would take that because that falls under the control of the mayor and it remains in-house. But when you got a president talking about, I'm going to come to your city whether you like it or not, I'm going to call you a bunch of names and tell people you ain't shit and put the military over. No mayor is going to want that. Nobody, no, there's no mayor going to want something like that. That doesn't benefit that mayor whatsoever. Let's say I got a violent city. President forces his way in, does what it takes to lower crime in my city, but he's talking shit about me the whole time, talking about how horrible a mayor I am. Obviously, come the next re-election, he's going to point that out, that this mayor was a piece of shit and you guys are dumb for. So there's no reason me as a mayor is going to want him there. He's not doing anything that's benefiting me. Even if he lowers crime, he's going to take credit for that, and he's going to continue blaming me for the crime the whole time. Why do I want him here? Nothing he is doing is to my benefit. Everything he's saying about me is horrible, and he's probably going to carry that right on over into the next election, and I'm hoping to get rid. So why do I want him here? He's no good to me. That's why they don't want him. Going back to the box. Arsha, good evening. Welcome to the program. Thanks for holding, Arsha. Hopefully your signal is working this time. Almost all major cities overall are run by Democrats regardless of crime rates. True, because diversity is what you find in big cities, and it's rare that a Republican mayor is over a diverse environment. Diversity of voice, the Republican Party like the plague. So you're always going to have the biggest cities run by Democrats. Heavy crime or not, they're always good. If you look at the top 50 largest cities in America, we did a video on this. We did a live stream on this about a year and a half ago, because the whole liberal cities thing came up. If you look at the top 50 largest cities in America, you got to go pretty far down the list before you find a Republican mayor. I think Oklahoma City is the first city you find that is of a decent size that has a Republican mayor. I think Dallas may have had a mayor that was Democrat and he switched parties, but for the most part, all of the top 10 largest cities in this country are ran by Democrats, and out of the top 50, only 9 of the top 50 cities in this country are ran by Democrats. The Republican Party just does not do well with diversity. The fact that you can see a city like Chicago or Memphis or St. Louis violent year after year after year, and no matter how violent that city is, they keep saying, fuck the Republicans, we're not going to vote for them. That speaks volumes to the Republican Party. Now, the Republicans will just say, well, they're just dumb. No, it's something about your party that diverse environments don't want anything to do with. Out of all of these cities all over the damn country, they're avoiding the Republican Party no matter what shape their city is in. They don't want to touch the Republican Party. That's something internal to the Republican Party. Why does diversity avoid your party? You can cry out about liberal cities all you want, but they keep going liberal. They're not going to touch you guys. There's something wrong with your party that diversity doesn't want to touch it. Daryl, good evening, Daryl. Welcome to the program.
How are you?
I'm doing good. What am I getting wrong this evening?
Well, let's get something straight. When the National Guard goes in, what can they do and cannot do?
Wait.
Let's get those facts out the way first.
What is your question again? What was your question?
What can the National Guard do and cannot do?
For the most part, they can have. The biggest duty of the National Guard probably is going to be intimidation. Other than that, maybe checkpoints and things like that. That's going to really be the biggest thing they're doing, is they're there to intimidate and sway people from doing, what do they call it? A deterrent. You're just seeing their presence. That's mostly what they're going to be doing.
Exactly. So that being said, any numbers that come out about whether the statistics change, I don't think you can wholeheartedly give it to Trump as saying, okay, I brought the National Guard in, now look at the numbers are down. Yeah. The numbers are going to go in the direction they're going to go regardless of whether the National Guard is there or not. So I'm kind of just so confused as to the National Guard being present. They can't go on any raids. They can't make any arrests. They're not involved in any investigations of any criminal activity going on. All right. So I'm trying to figure out why people I mean, that want this to happen with Trump taking these National Guards into these cities to do what? Just be a president. That doesn't mean that the numbers change because they're present. And basically, they're not even in the hardcore criminal element areas of these cities anyway.
They're going to have to be in Chicago.
The other day, I just seen them picking up trash in a grass area. That didn't look like a whole bunch of crime is going on where they're at. So what is it that this National Guard thing that he wants to push to these democratic cities, these blue cities? What is the purpose? The whole purpose is to make himself look good, like he's taking care of cities that are ran by Democrats, like he really did something. Didn't come up with these makeup numbers to talk about, there hasn't been a homicide in 11 days. That probably could have been true whether the National Guard was there or not.
I'll tell you. Well, I can help it out a little bit. I can help it out. I'll tell you the whole purpose, to really sum it up, the purpose is to stick it to the liberals. To do things, to do things that the liberals don't like, so you'll get liberal tears, and MAGA likes that. That's the goal of this shit. It ain't, if I can lower crime while doing it, or I can use the fact that I am lowering crime as an excuse, so be it. But the goal at the end of the day is to stick it to the liberals. That's the main purpose of this.
Exactly, because in Washington, all right, they come out with these numbers, talk about, there hasn't been a murder in 11 days. How many 11 days have there not been in a 365-day span? How many times has 11 days gone by without a murder? But all of a sudden, since he's had them in Washington, it hasn't been a murder in 11 days. I am so sick and tired of us just being brainwashed to believe these facts and numbers that he comes up with, just to say he's done something when he actually hasn't done anything. When are we going to get beyond and move on and heal from this dude? It's just amazing what we're going through now. It's just amazing. We're talking about America's lives. I mean, he has more focus on being damaged to the American citizen as opposed to putting out programs or coming up with legislation or any type of ideas that actually everybody can say, now, I support that. Nothing he has done. Everything is detrimental to the American citizen. It's amazing that we have a guy in the office that everything he does is detrimental to us as American people. I don't care if you're MAGA, I don't care left, right, upside down, I don't care. We're Americans. When are we all going to say enough is enough?
Well, they believe the guy's one of the best presidents we've ever had, so you're not going to get them to say that.
Okay, those are the same ones that, come on now.
I'm just telling you.
I mean, just I get what you're saying, but they're saying that because they have their motives, because he gives those people voices to say anything, whether it's false, and they 90%, I want to say 90% of the MAGA people know that those numbers that he comes up with, or the things he said, are not accurate. We're talking about common sense people, adults, brains that actually function and work. How do you come up with and support and defend the things that comes out of his mouth as being accurate? They're not. That's why he's firing everything he can get a hold of, any department that can refute anything he says he's trying to get rid of. Because he wants you to give you all these ghost numbers, and at the end of the day, how is that helping us? How is that helping us? Did you see the big summit in China?
Yeah.
They're moving on.
Yeah.
They're formulating to say we don't need the American person, we don't need the America, we don't need the American dollar. We're at risk.
Well, let me ask you a straightforward question, because this is what people are going to want to know. Do you think Kamala Harris would have been a better president than Trump?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does matter.
Let me explain something to you. All right, we're talking about the here and now. We're not talking about Kamala, we don't know that. And I don't want to sit here and say, I don't know what could have happened. She could have made a bad decision as well. But what we're being drugged through right now isn't a bad decision by a president. All right, what we're being drugged through right now is a human being that is lashing out on American society. I'm just like I'm so just depleted. I get up, I don't even feel the same anymore. It's like a cloud over this country every single day with this guy in office.
You think it's
that
that bad?
It amazes me how the shocking part about this, right, is I know there are Republicans in positions that talk behind closed doors and do not agree with this. But they know that in order for them to keep their jobs, they cannot say anything. That's the brutal part of it. That's the hurting part of it. That we have people in places that can gather together and say, okay, enough. The Republicans right now have the House and the Senate. Gives them power, literally, to stop this madness. Literally.
But you are right. You're right that there are a lot of people that are putting their own job security over what they. I mean, if you truly believe that he's doing something that's wrong for the country, but you're putting your job security over the country, that's for the most part unpatriotic. And I'm not going to say liberals wouldn't do the same thing, because with Biden's cognitive health, people are saying that a lot of liberals would not come forward.
We got to stop with the Biden. Stop backing up on Biden and correlating this or relating this to Biden. Biden is done and gone. We're talking about the here and now.
Yeah, but hold on. No, but if you're going to hold politicians accountable for putting their own job security and their own self above the nation, you can't ignore the liberals doing the same thing because it happened last year.
What happened last year, Tim?
A lot of liberals knew Biden's cognitive health was in decline and kept telling us he could do another term.
Did Biden drag the society of America the way Trump is right now?
No, but that ain't got nothing to do with what I just said, though.
Okay. It has everything to do. You want to go. I don't understand why everybody do this tit for tat. Well, Biden this, Biden that. All right. Regardless, even Republican past presidents have not put a cloud over the country like it is now. Republicans.
You just made it sound like you were concerned with people putting their own job security over the country. Now you're talking about a cloud. That's different. I'm not going to argue with you on how Trump has ran the country. That's a different argument, though. You said you don't like politicians that won't come forward and tell the truth when they actually know the truth in their heart behind the scenes. If that's the case, then I'm saying that happens on both sides of the aisle.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Not at all. I'm just saying this particular moment is a time where we're going into a place where now internationally we're being affected by the decisions and the actions and how the country is perceived now from the outside world. I'm more concerned with that right now.
Okay.
You know, what's going to happen to the American dollar if we keep at the rate that this person is taking us? What's going to happen? That summit just with China tells us right now that countries are formulating to bury us and be done with us, and the American dollar would be worthless.
Well,
the American dollar would...
The problem is, I mean, Trump's been in almost a fourth of his term. Come January, it'll be a fourth of his term. The Democrats have been predicting Armageddon ever since he took office. They said as of July 4th, we were going to be in a recession. The price of groceries was going to be unaffordable. So I'm not saying what you're saying can't happen, but what I'm saying is the Democrats have been predicting a disaster in America the whole time Trump has been in office, and this stuff is not culminating into reality.
The fact of the matter is, man, we have lost our footing as America in this world. We have lost our footing. We are sorely weakened right now. All right, and then it's just like, how much can you just, like, Tim, how much do you actually see going on that you can say, look, come on now, this is getting a little far out there. You're I'm believing you're MAGA, and I'm just saying, like, how much of it can you continue to support and not say, listen, I think I gotta stop at times I do hear you, speak up and say, okay.
I'm not MAGA, by the way. I'm not MAGA.
Okay, I like that hat to your right shoulder.
I got a bunch of them. They everywhere. I'm literally surrounded with red hats. They everywhere. I got a Trump was right about everything hat. That doesn't mean I'm MAGA though.
Where's the blue hat?
What blue hat? Do they make those?
Exactly.
I got a Cubs hat. I got a Cubs hat.
I'm not talking about no Yankee hat either.
I got a Cubs hat. Let me just say this real quick though. When you talk about Trump has ruined our standing with the world and how we're viewed and things like that, understand that MAGA was saying the same thing about Obama and about Biden, and we obviously survived it just fine. So when people say that Trump is ruining our standing with the world, it's kind of what they say in politics.
Yeah, but this is of a different nature, Tim, and you know that, all right? This formulation of that summit just didn't happen out of happenstance. You know what I'm saying? This is going to get really, really, really bad. And I don't know if I'll be able to climb out of this. When I'm not talking about recessions, we are America built strong. We can come out of a recession. I'm talking about worldwide, worldwide. How do we recover and gain the trust, for other countries to want to deal with us, as with this person in office? We're losing the economy. Mexico and Canada and all these countries that have traded with us, a high amount of trade with us, and they abandon us. Who do we sell to?
To some degree, I gotta move it on. But to answer your question, my guess is it's probably gonna have to wait until Trump is out of office. I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel on that.
I don't think we can wait. I really don't think that we have enough strength and footing right now to go another 2.5, almost 3 years with this guy in office. There's no way, at the rate that he's going onslaughting us as America, isolating us, with the rest of the world. I just don't see anything good that we can recover from. It would take us a generation or two, and by that time, it will never be the same. We will never have that super world power. I think that term right there is just about gone right now as we speak. I don't think right now we can call ourselves a superpower.
What?
Because we're not leading.
That's crazy. We're definitely a superpower.
I'm not talking about military-wise. I'm talking about our standing as America in this world.
I think we're still a superpower.
We're going to be number one. I get that part. All right? But if there's no war, what good is the military? You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about.
Here, I'll just say this. I do believe the trajectory is not looking good, but I think you got the cart ahead of the horse. We're not as far down the road of negativity as you're saying, at least in my opinion. But we are headed that way. I'm not saying that some of the stuff you're saying can't possibly come true. I just think you're going further down than what I don't think we're as bad off as you're saying just yet.
That summit should speak it all, Tim.
That's what I said. The trajectory is not looking good.
Yeah, you got Putin over there shaking hands, rubbing shoulders and elbows with North Korea, China, India. Come on. Those are powers. Those are powers. Those are big players. Yeah. Those are big players.
Yeah. All right, Daryl, I do got to move it on, Daryl, but I agree. I don't like the path. You and I are different. We're just different where we're at, but we both agree we're going in the same direction. Appreciate it, Daryl. Thanks for coming through.
Take care.
You too. All right, and I will echo some of his sentiment about the summit they're having. That's not good for the United States, and also too, with the way Trump laid out the welcome mat for Putin. This looks embarrassing for Trump. Now, if you're MAGA and you don't see it that way, you're being biased. If Obama or Biden had Putin come over to this country and they behaved in a manner like Trump did, applauded when he walked up, laid the red carpet out for him, put him in the presidential limo, and gave him an aircraft flyover, and then less than a month later, Putin is over there yucking it up with Kim Jong Un and Xi Jinping of China. You know you would say that Obama looked like a fucking simp. You know you would have nothing to say negative, nothing to say positive about Obama if Putin stood him up like that. So, in agreement with my last caller, that makes Trump look really, really bad for him to lay out the welcome mat for Putin. Not only did Putin go and meet with all of our enemies, he hasn't stopped a war whatsoever with the Ukraine. For all we know, he may end up getting, and I'm speculating here, but he may end up getting some of them to help him with the war in Ukraine. Whether it's weapons, intelligence, money, troops, who knows? I mean, he's already gotten troops from North Korea. This doesn't make Trump look like a strong, tough leader that everybody is fearful of at all. Putin has really showed Trump up to not be much more than a paper tiger, at least towards Russia. How many threats have Trump made towards Putin that he hasn't carried out so far? Whether it's you need to stop attacking Ukraine in 50 days, 10 days, if nothing comes out of our summit in Alaska, there will be strong punitive measures. He hasn't done any of that stuff. I mean, at this point, it's pretty clear Putin is not afraid or concerned with threats coming from Trump at all. Mr. Will G, Mr. G, thank you. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you. You live the program up. Says Trump ain't shit. He says, you talk about everything we've said that would be disastrous hasn't come true, but everything we've predicted has come true. Now we are playing roulette with Trump wanting the DOD renamed. He said renamed War Department. I don't get the last part of that, but look, I didn't say everything that we predicted on Trump did not come true. I think everybody predicted on the left that he wasn't going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. I think that was, so there are plenty of things the left has predicted, but I'm saying there are also plenty of things the left has predicted that didn't come true. The left predicted, particularly with Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, that we would be in shambles a lot sooner than we have. I mean, look, groceries are not coming down. I don't buy the whole, folks are in the comments talking about groceries have come down 30%. I don't buy that. But I do, I will say that even though Trump, this liberation shit, April 1st, I think it was, now he suspended a lot of that stuff. He's been playing games with the terrorists, but people definitely said that the country was going to be fucked up before now when he imposed those tariffs on April. And the country is not as fucked up economically as people predicted. So that's what I'm saying. But there are plenty of predictions the liberals have made in regards to Trump that have come true. Such as Putin is not scared of Trump. That's something the liberals were saying since day one. I believe Kamala Harris during the debate stated that Putin would eat Trump's lunch. That was an actual quote from Kamala Harris. That's come true. That has definitely come true. Trump has not done anything. Trump has not gotten Putin to bow down or do anything that looks like Putin is somehow afraid or, being intimidated by Trump. Nothing at all. He's gotten a free invite to the United States. He's gotten a free ride in the presidential limo, and he's given up nothing. America's gotten nothing from Putin in Russia. Not even a commitment of any significance. So definitely there are plenty of things that the liberals predicted, in my opinion, that have come true. But thank you, Will. Eat them for lunch. Yeah, I'd have to find it, but I'm pretty sure Kamala Harris said that. Kamala Harris said during the debate that Putin would eat Trump for lunch. And like I said, based on what I've seen so far, there looks like there is some validity to that. I'm just trying to put it in and see if I can find it. Some of you guys probably remember it because she said it pretty strongly. Said she would eat your ass for lunch. Here we go. Let me see what is being said here. Yeah, like I said, it hasn't. it hasn't come out looking good for Trump. I haven't seen it.
I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay?
That hasn't aged well at all, that comment he just made there. Trump wants to rename the Department of Defense the War Department. Oh. Why? Just to say he did it? I wonder how much of this shit that Trump is renaming, like he's moving the Space Force from Colorado down to Alabama. How much of the stuff that you're going to have the next president reverse? I mean, are they going to keep the Confederate names for all the bases? I wonder how much of this stuff, what he does at the Smithsonian. I would assume some of this stuff they're going to reverse that President Trump has done.
They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin
Before we get to what she's going to say, I will say, because this is why I always say there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. A lot of people believe that, including yours truly. I thought that there was a possibility that, I thought personally, I thought his relationship with Putin was better than it appears to be. I don't know about 24 hours, but I did believe that if you wanted the Ukraine-Russian war to end, Trump made for a much better pick in the election than Kamala Harris did. But now that we've seen, he isn't any better of a pick in terms of that war than Kamala Harris. I mean, yeah, he's met with Zelensky a few times. He's met with Putin, whereas Biden was just giving the Ukrainians weapons to fight. The Biden administration was saying it ain't even worth meeting with Putin. You can't trust him anyway. So they were not trying to meet with Putin. Trump did reach out and meet with Putin, but at the end of the day, if you didn't accomplish shit, then the meeting was for naught. I mean, I don't know how much money was spent meeting with Putin, security concerns and things like that, but it's pretty clear the United States didn't get anything out of any of that stuff. So he's not a better candidate, at least from a standpoint of ending the Ukraine-Russian war.
Unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III.
Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Damn. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not judging anything else other than what was said here. Kamala Harris is right. I mean, in terms of how these two, what he said and what she said, how that stuff has aged. I mean, with this being about a year almost coming up on it, but I don't know when September 10th is when this debate was. So it's only a few days, and this will have been about a year. This is about a year ago. Her words have aged way better than his words. Her words have aged. In fact, he still is suggesting that if he was president, the war in Ukraine would never have happened. I'm not certain of that anymore. Now that he's met with Putin and he's done all of this stuff to end that war, and Putin has pretty much gave him nothing, I'm not certain I believe anymore. And I did used to believe that. I actually did have the tend to believe that Trump would have stopped that war from ever taking place. I don't believe that anymore. Because Putin has shown Trump, I don't have to do shit for you. I mean, Putin has made it clear to Trump, you ain't controlling me. I don't know what you're telling your people over there, but you ain't running this. I mean, Putin has made that abundantly clear. Trump has made multiple threats to Putin at this point, and he's ignored all of them. How much more evidence do you need? Even Biden didn't do that. So I'm not for certain anymore that, I don't feel confident that what Trump is saying is true anymore. That if he was president, these wars would not have happened. Same thing with Netanyahu. Trump has spoken against Netanyahu constantly doing what he's doing in Gaza, and Netanyahu's continuing too. These people are ignoring him. So I don't feel confident anymore when he says, well, this wouldn't happen if I was here. They're making it clear you can't stop them from doing it. So if they're not listening to you now, why should we be so confident that they would have listened to you then? Maybe he would have threw around some money, but I think in both cases, after the group Hamas went into Israel and took out 1,000 lives, I don't think Trump would have been able to stop that. I mean, they wanted revenge. He would not have been able to stop Netanyahu from acting on that. So saying that the Gaza or the Palestinian-Israeli war would never have happened, how would he have stopped it? I mean, he didn't have any power to go into Gaza and deal with Hamas. I mean, what they did was a total surprise. So they would have done that under Trump. And once they've done it, Israel's going to act to it. So he would not have stopped the Israeli-Palestinian war from taking place. And I don't see how he would have stopped the Russian-Ukrainian war from taking place. I think at this point, it looks like he just overstated what he's capable of, which also, too, includes he could end the war in 24 hours. It's pretty clear that some of that stuff is not true now. He ended future wars with Iran. I don't think so. I don't think he ended future war. In fact, with these gentlemen meeting now at this summit, and they all don't like the United States, you got the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin. You got the leader of China, Xi Jinping. You got the prime minister of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, and now you got also the prime minister of India because of the Trump tariffs on them for dealing with Russia. So you got 4 nations meeting. All 4 nations are nuclear powers. Other than Kim Jong-un, the rest of them got a whole lot of nukes. China, Russia, and India have a whole lot of atomic weapons. So when you say he ended future wars with Iran, with 4 nuclear-armed nations now allying against the United States, who's to say one of them won't give Iranians nuclear technology? Iran would side with any of these nations over the United States. Any of them. Iran would happily work with Russia, China, India, or North Korea right now because they're getting bombed by the West. So we've had some when Trump started doing what he did with the Ukraine, we had other NATO member nations start. I think France was talking about potentially giving nuclear technology to the Ukraine. Because once you get your hands on some atomic technology, people stop fucking with you. So if you give the Ukrainians access to nuclear weapons, Russia would probably back off to some sort. Same thing with Iran. If Iran gets the nuclear bomb, America and Israel will leave them the fuck alone. And now that we got some pretty big enemies out there that are teaming up together, all it takes is for one of them to send an engineer over there. I mean, you're not going to fuck with Iran if they got Chinese, Russian, or Indian, or even North Korean engineers in Iranian territory. You're not going to do anything about it. So one of these nations could easily give Iran nuclear technology because Iran would be willing to give away the farm to one of these countries because their sovereignty would be far stronger if they get their hands on a nuclear weapon. So I don't know if you've ended future wars with Iran. I do not know that. I don't agree with that. Now with these countries teaming up against us, of course they didn't do shit. They always innocent until all the guilty parties pass away. Then the beans get spilled. Well, I told you earlier, I think Epstein, whatever's in regards to Epstein, it will come out probably after Trump's death, after some of those folks that are on the list pass away. I think that'll come out. Exactly. Trump can't fucking create new jobs and work opportunities. Businesses closing everywhere for sure. I haven't heard that. Unemployment is high. I haven't heard that either. Scott Heinrich, statistically, that happens in poverty-ridden neighborhoods. Racist like only saying black neighborhoods. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate we didn't get quite to 100 tonight, but I do appreciate the 87th thou. Thank you for tapping the screen. Follow the program if you happen to be watching on TikTok or YouTube. If you're watching on, or better yet, Facebook, TikTok or Facebook. We're going to go back to broadcasting on Instagram and Clapper soon, but follow the program if you're watching on any of those networks. We are also on X, Truth Social, and Rumble now. I'm going to start trying to go live on either Truth Social or X. I know it'll be the jungle, but we're going to make that happen. But we currently do have accounts on the Handsome Liberals on all of those platforms. Truth Social, Rumble, X, Clapper, Instagram, YouTube, and of course TikTok. So if you get in the mood, if you got one of those apps, give your boy a shout out, give your boy a follow. If you, and we, like I said, there is content on all of those. So if you give your boy a shout out, follow, feel free to do so. But I do want to get on Truth Social and or X as well and do some live streams so I can get, more of my conversation with MAGA. I like to talk to MAGA. I'm sure there's nothing but MAGA on Truth Social, and most of X leans right as well. So it should be interesting. Team Grace to Grandma. Have a good day at work tomorrow. SpongeBob, enjoy time playing video games. I wish. That would be nice. If Democrats are so great, then why is every hellhole city in the country run by them for decades? Well, that's a good question. Scott Heinrich or Heinrich says, if Democrats are so great, then why is every hellhole city in the country ran by them for decades? Probably because you have a skewed definition of what a hellhole is. Probably because you would look at rampant poverty, children ranking dead last in education, a population where very few people have health insurance. You won't see any of that as a hellhole. You're only tailoring what you view as a hellhole to fit the definition of democratic cities. There's some really poor-ass, hunky-dunk, poor-down towns that are ran by Republicans. You don't see that as classifying as a hellhole. I mean, I'm talking like really dirt poor people who barely got internet access and shit like that in their towns. That's not a hellhole to you. So you're picking and choosing what your definition of a hellhole is. I mean, Mississippi, for instance, that state ranks dead last in shit like infant mortality rate, uninsured Americans. Their educational system is fucked. Their bridges and roads are fucked. None of that qualifies as a hellhole to you. You would look at a city like Chicago where the GDP and the per capita income is pretty damn high. You would see hellhole in that. So your definition of what a hellhole is skewed. That's why only the hellhole cities are ran by Democrats, because you're skipping over all kinds of other aspects of American life that should constitute as being a hellhole. That's why. If you don't think the election wasn't stolen and January 6th was a setup, wait a minute. If you don't think the election wasn't stolen and January 6th was a setup, this black ass, I don't know. What do you mean January 6th? January 6th was a setup. What if set up by who? Didn't Trump say that was a love fest? They were all patriots? Set up by who? He didn't seem to say any of that. I never needed health care in my 20s and 30s. The majority of people are the same. Only the sick need health care, not everyone. There's a whole lot of 20 and 30-year-olds that need health care. I just want to tell you that. It's a whole lot of 20 and 30-year-olds who are beasts. I mean, look, what are you suggesting? Don't give health care to people in their 20s and 30s? I don't even know what that even. Yeah, you're going to be more likely to get ill the older you get, but people in their 20s and 30s have babies and things like that. You need health care in your 20s and 30s. That doesn't make any sense. I'm just simply saying, like, okay, Trump is willing to spend a fortune to send a National Guard to liberal cities to lower crime. The money spent on the National Guard could be used to give poor Americans health care in some of those rundown areas. I'll tell you this, we're talking about Chicago and 50 some odd people, 54 people shot, 7 dead over the Labor Day weekend, 9 dead. The death toll risen to 9. Chicago loses anywhere between probably high 600s to maybe 900 people in homicides per year. Do you realize having a state like Mississippi with so many people uninsured healthcare, you realize how many people die due to no healthcare or improper healthcare? We don't keep a tally on that, but I can assure you having a whole state of people where most of the folks are not insured or improperly or underinsured. People are dying all over the South because of lack of health care. We just don't count it. That's all it is. People who got diabetes and preventative care they're not giving, surgeries they don't get qualified for. People are dying all over the damn place in this country due to lack of health care. We just don't count it. So we can see somebody getting shot, but somebody who had a major illness or needed some sort of chemo or something and either died prematurely or died too soon we don't count that. But having so many uninsured people, guaranteed people are dying from that. Guaranteed. Lack of health care, getting rid of Obamacare or gutting Obama, that's killing people. That is definitely killing people. So if you're truly focused on saving American lives, it shouldn't only be focused on when somebody trying to commit a crime. Dying is dying. You should be focused on saving an American no matter how you can save them. So, like I said, it depends on what your definition of a shithole is. That's how you can live. All of the shithole cities are ran by liberals because you're excusing all of that stuff. But Texas, I think, ranks pretty damn high in terms of uninsured Americans in that city. Think about all of the preventative care that people are not getting because they don't have insurance and they're having to go to the ER once they're really fucked up because they didn't have preventative care. All of that type of stuff. Let's say you got diabetes or something like that and you don't go get preventative care. So by the time you do get it, maybe you got to get a toe or a foot amputated or something like that. I mean, it's all of that's factored into that. We're skipping over all of that. We're not calling that shitholes, but it is. It is. That's living in the shithole. I'm from Texas, and the cities that aren't big cities like Houston, they are country as fuck and uneducated, clearly. To me, lack of education is also something that really hurts Americans, but that ain't considered a shithole. So, yeah, you can make Chicago be a shithole and all of the red cities not be shitholes if you just, play tunnel vision and play a shell game with what you're concerned with and ignore other things that are serious that you're not concerned with. And that's what I think that the right is doing on it. Tim, you said all that and MAGA don't give a shit. And I believe that, Driver. Yeah, I do believe that. Because you listen, you want Trump to win, so you're going to focus on what Trump is saying. If something is not in favor of Trump, you just ignore it. Such as I pointed out, the way Putin has treated Trump has pretty much made Trump a laughingstock. MAGA's not going to focus on that. If Putin was doing that to Biden or Obama, MAGA would be all over it. I mean, he has made Trump look like an ineffective leader in terms of international affairs. MAGA's not going to pay attention to that. I had to pay my hospital bills. My health insurance didn't cover most of it. Health cost me $850 a month. That's what I'm talking about. Shit like that. Not covering knee surgeries and shit. I mean, all of that stuff. That's shithole type stuff. And if you live in a state down in the red areas where they tend to believe that if you fall on your face, you either die laying there or you figure out a way to get up on your own. Yeah, people are being hurt by that in red areas. That's shithole stuff. They just don't call it that. That's why I would never want to be a president. You take a oath that means you're head of security of the entire motherfucking nation. That's your main job as president. This motherfucker failed us all 2 taps over. Well, you know something? I'll just tell you this. You ever heard of the phrase, an armed society is a polite society? You often hear this from the right, the 2A crowd, insinuating that if everybody have a firearm, the criminals will be disincentivized to fuck with anybody. An armed society is a polite society. They say it all the time. For some strange reason, the same folks on the right that say that an armed society is a polite society tend to disagree when you use it on the world stage. In other words, if everybody has a nuclear weapon, that society will be polite too. An armed society is a polite society, remember? So, and I do believe that. I do believe that if every country had access to atomic weapons, you would have a whole lot less countries getting fucked with. You'd have a whole lot less countries getting fucked with. I do believe that. But to convince America to convince, just like the liberals want to take away your guns, this is what they always say on the right. The liberals want to take away your guns. Well, the right, better yet, not the right, but America rather, is doing the same thing on the world stage. It's trying to take away people's guns. America is trying to take away people's ability to obtain nuclear weapons, making up excuses. I mean, like really having people believe that if for some reason, if Iran got a nuclear weapon, they would just go and start using a nuclear bomb on superpower countries like America and Israel, which would pretty much cause them to be wiped from the earth. I mean, if you've seen what Israel has done to Gaza, there's no way in hell Iran would launch a nuclear strike after Israel right now. There's no way in hell they're gonna do that. You don't see the merciless attack and decimation of the people of Gaza for almost 3 years now. There's no way in hell that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, that they're going to decide to have a nuclear strike with a country like Israel. Because you know the United States is going to jump in it. You already know that. So this whole claim that we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon because they're not going to fucking use that. They're not going to get involved in that. They're not going to do that. Who do you think will be the first nation to use new age nuclear weapons? Granted, America used the first atomic bomb, but I thought we learned from that. I don't know. I don't see any nation willing to go that far. I don't see any nation willing to do that because it is so dangerous. It is so dangerous. I mean, even if you win, you lose. I mean, I always use the Rocky Balboa example. Rocky won most of his fights, but look how he looked at the end of the fight. Most nations don't want to go through that. Now, I suppose you might have somebody who is just that don't give a fuck about his population. But even Kim Jong-un has showed you he's not eager to use a nuclear weapon. And we know he don't care about his population. He ain't willing to use one. Russia has nukes. They haven't launched any nukes on Ukraine. And they've lost 1 million soldiers. So Russia using conventional weaponry, they could have launched nukes and ended this a lot sooner. They ain't launching nukes. So I don't believe any of the nations would be quick to do that because it's just too fucking damaging. It's too fucking damaging. Not only that, but if you launch a nuclear weapon, there's a good chance you may affect other nations that are not in the war and drag them into the war against your ass. Whether it is, if it's close to the border, you can hit stuff that's over on the other side of the border, radiation and fallout. I mean, I don't think any nation is going to rush to use that. I just don't see it. I don't believe any nation is going to rush to use that. That's something that the West, particularly America, tells everybody. Don't let anybody be like us because they're not as responsible as us. That's what we tell people. But I don't think any nation is going to get out there and just jump into nuclear war because nobody really wins in that. Biden built up our economy and had prices dropping. Trump brought them back up. I don't know. I don't know if I say that, if I agree with that. Massive bullshit lies. Ain't no massive job growth shit. You guys are going at it. Anyway, I gotta step away. I appreciate the over 100,000 likes. Thank you, folks that have tapped the screen. You guys know what we do here. Monday through Friday, we tend to get in here when we can. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. This is free speech all day, all the time. We remain MAGA friendly, even though a lot of the MAGA tends to not like Trump being criticized. But we're critical of the left when things go that way. But nevertheless, we are MAGA friendly. But when I say we go left of Bernie Sanders to having dinner with Q, everyone gets to speak, regardless of your political affiliation. You don't have to worry about a host that's trying to dictate how you should think or limit you when you're on the program. So we do let everybody speak. I hate it. We have to pay for a golden dome because of military industrial complex and the permanent boogeyman. True. I don't think we need a golden dome. I agree with what you're saying there. I think Maine I think the golden dome is a waste of money. I don't believe that any nation is going to launch a preemptive nuclear strike against America where we need to use a golden dome. I mean, when you look at the distance we are from other countries, I suppose if they use hypersonic weapons or whatever, but you already know that if you decide to start striking actual targets on U.S. soil, the response is going to be horrible. I mean, we can look at the Iraq War, whereas we were getting revenge from what we claimed was what bin Laden did, even though bin Laden and Iraq didn't have shit to do with each other. And To a lesser degree, Iran didn't. But look what happened. We went to those countries and decimated them. Now, we're talking about what Israel's doing to Gaza, but what we did in those countries is probably not that much further off. It's just it was dragged out further. And Gaza's a far more compressed area, but they lost a lot of people in the Middle East. That 20-year war we started over there, I mean, I think they estimated about 1 million people lost their lives because of that shit. So you're not going to just go and willy-nilly fire missiles into America. You're just not going to do that. The response is going to be horrible. So I don't think the Golden Dome is necessary. I really don't. I mean, it's like a neighbor where the neighbor has, 10 grown kids, a husband and a wife that are marksmen, and the house is full of guns and shit like that. And they're going out and buying, bars or bulletproof windows. Ain't nobody breaking in that crib. Ain't nobody fucking coming up in there. Y'all got all that shit in there, and people know that. Ain't nobody about to fuck with y'all. That's the same thing with America. The whole country is armed. They got 5,000 nuclear weapons, multiple aircraft carriers and subs. Ain't nobody fucking with that country. Ain't nobody about to sit there and lob any missiles into America. That dome is a waste of fucking money. You do not need that. Ain't nobody coming over there doing that. And yeah, you're right. The taxpayers are paying for it. But yeah, you said the Golden Dome doesn't hurt. It does hurt. When you get homeless people laying all around and shit, and people are uninsured with healthcare wise, and you're paying for that, it does hurt. Yeah. Priorities. Focus on actual human beings, actual fucking suffering humanity in the country. Not building some dome that's going to cost a fortune to maintain and never be used. You know how many valuable military assets we've paid for a fortune for? It spent its entire life just sailing around or flying around. It was never used. And it is $1 to build. You realize how many people can be helped by that shit? I mean, you just think of the price of, let's say, one F-14. We've decommissioned the F-14s. They don't fly F-14 jets anymore. So you just think about one of those that was never used in combat or anything, just built, flew around in drills and test flights, and then it ended up, scrapped. Think about all the good that money could have did to an actual human being, or in that case, considering the price of an F-14, probably a whole fucking neighborhood. We got a lot of stuff like that. The dome ain't necessary. It really is not necessary. A nation may start one, but I think another nation may make it look like it. Ain't nobody firing. You're not going to fire anything that's going to hit the U.S. mainland where the dome would have to stop it without us knowing where it came from. So when you say a nation may start one, but I think a nation may make, if you fire something, because America's far away from shit. So anything you fire here, we're going to know where it came from. So I don't see it. I don't think the dome is necessary. I mean, nobody's fucking with North Korea. They don't have a dome. Russia doesn't have a dome. India doesn't have a dome. Nobody's fucking with them. Now, Israel is literally across the street from its neighbor. So that's different. If Canada, let's say Canada was Russia, then I can see it a little bit more. But yeah, a dome ain't necessary. I don't think it's necessary. And by the way, I don't think Russia would attack the United States. I just don't see it. I don't believe they would get that stupid, because mutually assured destruction is in play. I just can't imagine them doing that. Israel would be fine if they weren't always starting shit. Some have said that. Anyhow, I got to step away. I appreciate the 100,000 likes. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Y'all take care. Stay safe. I'm out.